I said, plug me in. I got stuff to talk about, damn it. I'll crawl out of my earbuds once a week to give you a show. That's what I do, folks. I do this show for the common man, for the people in despair. I bring this show into the world and I sell it everywhere. The simple truth lies waiting here, folks, for all of you to share. Hold on, I will take you there.
Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy podcast. There's ambient noise hanging around. Can you hear it? Feels like a plane. Could be a weed whacker. Could be a chopper. Maybe I'm on a chopper. What if I was doing this show from a chopper? I can tell you where I'm not doing this show from, the oldest building in Hollywood, unfortunately. There was a scheduling snafu, a mix-em-up, a juggling, a coin flip, a back and forth, and our friend Lily Von Stupp was on a plane to and from Vegas, and I'm on a plane to and from Wisconsin, and our twains, unfortunately, did not meet this week. I can't say they'll never meet. They will meet hopefully next week, but I can tell you that right now, our twains will not meet. That's more ambient noise. I have no idea how this sounds, as I always don't when in cases of not being in the oldest building in Hollywood. Look, this whole year has been kind of a coin flip for us, right? Kind of a crapshoot. Year 8? No, this isn't year 8. This is year 7. I had somebody ask me last week if I was going to do a year 8. And I don't know. You know what I need? I need one of those fucking plexiglass boxes where they put people in there and the money blows around and people try to scoop it up and throw it into their pants. But I won't be grabbing money. I'll just be recording a show. What if there was that? Like a game show where instead of going into that plexiglass booth to grab a bunch of money and shove it into your goddamn jeans, instead you just sat down and you talked for 2 hours. See, I would be on board with that. That's exactly what I want to do with my life. Maybe not my life. Maybe I want to do that with an afternoon. I don't know if I want to extrapolate my entire life into sitting in a plastic box. Oh, hold on. Man, I inhaled there and I don't know if you even heard it. My throat caught and it made me want to cough. And I don't want to cough because, again, I can't start over because we're talking on the phone. We're recording into the iPhone, folks. I have an iPhone 5. I hope it sounds good. I don't know what my iPhone 6 will sound like. But I do know this. I heard last week's show was a success. Thank you for so many of you who wrote me to say there's no clicking. Thank you. Because I tried. We wanted to make sure there was no clicking. That's important to me. Again, it seems like this show is an afterthought, and it's really not. I mean, this show is extremely important to me as another car goes by, more ambient noise for you. Here's how important the show is. I'm bringing you this show from a car. I'm literally sitting in the Murano on a quiet side street, although not nearly as fucking quiet as I thought it would be, as 9 cars of a plane have gone by already. But I did this because I could have recorded it in my house. All right, I should tell you, and I'm also recording early. Like I said, I'm on a plane, and then Lily's on a plane, or actually Lily's on a plane, and then I'm on a plane. It just didn't match up because Lily, she got planes, and then she's got teases, she's got shows and naked ladies and flights. She's very busy, and I also have planes and naked ladies and flights, but my naked ladies are in a room in a house and not in and it's naked lady. It's not multiple. Jill and I, Jill's naked and I'm naked, and no other naked ladies have been involved in this transfer. I was going to say transaction. Oh my Christ, that sounded awful. So I'm sitting on a quiet side street because I was going to do this from my apartment, and I don't know what's going on. As you know, in my apartment complex where I've lived for so many years, and I cannot wait to move out of, even though I love my apartment. I do love my apartment. I love the fact that it opens up to and there's a pool right outside. I just had a listener in my apartment. That was kind of fucking weird. Not weird. I shouldn't say it that harshly. Last week I saw a couple of listeners, which was pretty neat. Or a couple of listeners came to town, and they contacted me if I wanted to hang out. And you dudes, I don't ever do anything. I mean, I work, and then I go home and I sit in a giant chair, and then I go see my beautiful girlfriend Jill. Or I go to the airport and I pick up my beautiful girlfriend Jill, and I spend 5 incredibly happy days with her, and then I come back here and I bring people fucking coleslaw. And that's, oh wait, ambient. That's a plane. You know what I did? I foolishly decided to park right in a flight path. What the fuck is wrong with me? God damn it, was the space shuttle going to go over next? Seriously, we've had planes and automobiles. If a train goes by, I'm just going to, you know what? I'm in a car. If a train goes by, I'm just going to try to throw a cigarette out the window and have it burn up this fucking car while I'm sitting in it. I'm going to have my parka get caught in a seatbelt while I'm playing a Ray Charles song, and I'm going to fucking crash. I'm going to turn around and there's Steve Martin, and he's going to think I'm the devil. That's what's going to fucking happen here if a train goes by. Jesus, God, I thought I was on a quiet side street. I don't want to give you the address. Well, maybe I do. What? You know what? You know what we should do from... Oh, my God, how great would this be? Although it's not live. Fuck. What if I did a contest where like I gave you guys like GPS coordinates? What if it was like a mad world, but instead of money, you found me? God damn it. Somebody's parking behind me. You got to be fucking kidding me. I'm on a quiet side street and someone just pulled up behind me. I'm like in the shade with foliage and I don't know why this Prius is pulling up. What if they get out and they ask me some questions? What if they, you know what? Maybe this is the winner of the contest that I just created. Holy God! I just created a fucking contest and someone is playing and has won it in seconds. Because I was saying it was like a mad world, and instead of finding treasure, you find me. This person found me. They weren't even concerned about the treasure. Fuck, they didn't even concern themselves with when the contest was going to start. They just went ahead and jumped in with both feet and decided to fucking find me on a goddamn quiet side street. We'll hear the door close. It'll be ambient. Listen. Did you hear that? I hope so. No, it's a little white-haired old lady. I hope she doesn't bitch at me for talking on her street. What if it's one of those people, like like Mrs. Beatty when I was a kid? I've told you about Mrs. Beatty, right? Dude, when I was a kid, I lived next to a lady named Mrs. Beatty. She was an old lady, and she was truly like the woman from the movies who like would take your ball and pop it, like when you throw a football into your yard. It drove me. Oh, now she's doing the recycling. Hold on. I know a car drove by. You know what I should do? I should just park and give you play-by-play on what's happening in this moment right now. So again, I should give you the coordinates. We'll do that sometime. God, look at what podcasting brings us. This is the medium. You see, you don't see Matthew Perry doing this, going, "Hey, I'm on The Odd Couple, but if you want to meet me on a side street, here are the coordinates and find me, and then I'll shake your hand and tell you about Friends." Matthew Perry never does that. And why did he come to mind? Because I just saw a commercial for that Odd Couple remake yesterday. First of all, I have no fucking idea who decided to remake The Odd Couple. It just screams to me like Matthew Perry is so rich and loaded with Friends money that he wants to stay sort of busy. I swear to God, I'm in a flight path. Do you hear it? Jesus Christ. Because normally I think it's bad at Lily's house when you can sort of hear stuff maybe through the window. Now I'm sitting in this fucking car. You can hear every fucking thing that's happening outside the goddamn window. There's planes and cars, automobiles, no trains. As soon as a train shows up, I'll tell you what though, I'm just going to lug my big trunk and I'm going to sit in the fucking subway station or train station until Steve Martin takes me and brings me to meet his wife. By the way, the wife, I'll tell you this story really quickly. It's not even a story, it's an anecdote. Fuck, I didn't know why I'm telling you. You know the wife in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? I saw her in a live-action version of Streetcar Named Desire. You know, you think to yourself, I don't have any culture. You think Mike Schmidt doesn't have any culture? Fuck you. That seems strong. I have plenty of culture, ladies and gentlemen. I went to the Steppenwolf Theater. Car just went by. I went to the Steppenwolf Theater in Chicago, and I saw, get this, folks, get this. I saw a fucking Streetcar Named Desire with that lady. She was Stella. She was Stella! Stella! Oh, man, the white-haired old lady just looked at me. Do your recycling. Don't concern yourself with the guy podcasting in the fucking car in front of you. Let me talk about Mrs. Beatty before I get into Stella. So Mrs. Beatty was just this next-door neighbor chick, and she wasn't a chick, she was 90. But you would drop a ball in her fucking yard or over her fence, and she would literally take it and pop it, and took it. Hold on, a guy skateboarding by me with a gas can. Did you hear him go by? Did you hear his wheels? He had a Gatorade in one hand and a gas can in the other, and he's skateboarding. Oh my God, is that gorgeous? I should have just stopped him, because I mean, his car has to be like 2 blocks over, right? And just out of gas, and now he's hopping on a skateboard to go and get it done. Or he's escaping from like a yard theft. Like maybe he broke into somebody's garage and he stole that. Hold on, this is another plane that apparently is driving down the street. Do you hear it? Why did I choose a flight path to do this show? That's got to be more annoying than the clicking, right? Small aircraft. Normally there's clicking and it's right there and you're hearing it, and we just got rid of it last week. But now a motorcycle. You gotta be fucking kidding me! Listen, he's gonna go by me. Is he gonna go by me? You don't care about this. This is truly the worst use of podcasting, other than me telling you about Kojak. Can you hear that motorcycle, dudes? I had to open my door for you to do it. Now listen. There's me closing my car door. Jesus Christ. This is the best part, and the worst part about podcasting is the best part is you can do it anywhere and still have a show. And the worst part of it is you can do it anywhere and still have a show. Seriously, that's the best and the worst part. Podcasting is like porn, okay? You can do it anywhere, but there are places where it's done best. Honestly, like podcasting, I can do it in a fucking car, but it should be done in a studio. Porn, if you do it in a bed, it's great, but if you're, banging somebody in an alley behind a car dealership hoping somebody takes a look at you, then maybe you should probably think about getting into a bed. Not that that's ever happened to me. Not that I would tell you if it had or it hadn't. Maybe that's another contest. Maybe I give you the address of a car dealership and you try to find the alley and see if you find me in there. See me and Jill hanging out. Yeah, I'm sure she's happy to be dragged into this mess. All right, so what were we talking about? We were talking about Mrs. Beatty, and then we had another anecdote we were talking about. All right, so I see this is what happens when Lily goes to Vegas and takes care of her own life. Doesn't she realize that I need her to fucking shepherd me in the right direction? Doesn't she realize that I need her to fucking focus me and get me moving forward and making sure that I do the right thing at all times? You would think so. So Mrs. Beatty, this is really nothing. We lived next door to her when we were little kids. This is when I was totally small. What was I, 6? Let's see, I was born then. Yeah, I got to be 6 at that point. And we would lose like a football or a basketball, and we'd always go in her yard, and she would come out with a knife, like a little, not a kitchen knife, because she's not a fucking psychopath, although she kind of was. Because if you did this to kids, you're a psychopath. Fuck it, I take it back. Dude, this was a fucking weird-ass neighborhood. Like, 3 doors down, we had Billy Clark, who was a guy on crutches. And he was on crutches. I lived there for maybe 2 years. He was on crutches the entire time. I don't know if he had fucking polio. Maybe he was Tiny Tim. I don't fucking know. But all I know is he actually, he got Lenny pinched for shoplifting. Ever tell you that story? Maybe I did. We went to Jewel, and Billy Clark convinced Lenny to steal a bunch of candy bars. And then Billy Clark hobbled out with his fucking club foot and his crutches. And then I always thought that, even at 6, I thought maybe he told the manager that Lenny stole the candy, because Billy Clark got out safe, and then when Lenny walked out the door, they pinched Lenny. They grabbed him. Billy Clark kind of just fucking hobbled away with 2 crutches and 1 foot. You know what I mean? Just kind of disappeared into the ether, and Lenny got pinched for shoplifting, which was not good. So he lived a couple of doors down from us. And right next door to us was Mrs. Beatty, who, this is a true story. We were playing outside once, and we had a football. And I'm 6, and it's a tiny football. It's not even like an NFL football, but it's a football. And it went over her fence in her yard, and she had these vicious little dogs, so you couldn't hop the fence to get your ball back. And I personally believe, I don't think Mrs. Beatty liked dogs. I think she just had fucking dogs to guard her yard from children who were trying to steal back their balls, because she got such a sadistic pleasure out of fucking destroying them in front of your face. Because we had a football go into her yard, and she came out front with the ball, and we were kind of like, hey, that's great, thank you. And she said, keep your balls out of my yard. And she had kind of a drawl, and then she pulled out a pocket knife. Not like a switchblade. She didn't have a fucking stiletto or anything. She wasn't Jets and Sharks, but she pulled out a pocket knife like a Boy Scout. Like she was be prepared to ruin a child's childhood. That's what it was. Be prepared to ruin a child's fun. And she had the football. She cradled it, as not unlike a professional football player, in the crook of her arm. And honestly, a little loose. If I would have snuck up on her, I'd probably get punched it loose. I get a Peanut Tillmander, and then the ball would have been for a scramble. We would have knocked her out because she was 90. But we were taught to respect our elders, and she was nothing if not our elders. Car. But she's cradling the ball in the crook of her arm, and she literally took out a pocket knife, and there was ceremony to it too. It wasn't like she was like, hey, I'm just gonna do this, and no, she fucking relished it. She took out the pocket knife, and in front of us slowly pulled out the blade, and then just like fucking stabbed the ball and popped it in front of us, stabbed our football and took it inside. And we told my mom about it. My mom, I think, got high and had a drink. I mean, I don't know what my mom did at that point. My dad might have still been around. He was downstairs sleeping with a 19-year-old. We had a fun house. But yeah, so because my mom, she never went to bat for us with Mrs. Beatty. She went to bat with other fucking authority figures. But for some reason, we went to her about Mrs. Beatty, and my mom was just like, relax. I think, because I was 6. Or maybe she got us another football, or maybe she just told us to stay out of Mrs. Beatty's yard. I don't really recall, honestly. I remember talking to my mom, and she probably got high and ignored me. So there was Billy Clark, there was Mrs. Beatty, and then across the street was the house where I told you the guy had a monkey. I think I've talked about that on here. I don't even know who the fuck lived there. You know what? Just in the window, there was a monkey jumping around constantly, like a spider monkey, like a Little Rascals monkey. And he didn't have a little elevator operator suit on, which would have been gorgeous. He was a naked monkey. But he would jump up and down in the window. And again, now that I think about it, I didn't see anybody else in that house except the monkey. So there is a pretty good chance that the only person who lived there was the monkey. He may have owned the house. Maybe it was the monkey from the Little Rascals, and he had a lot of money from royalties built up, and he bought a house in Chicago. Maybe he wanted a little brownstone. And he stayed inside in his window, and he looked out and he watched the kids across the street, and he watched Billy Clark hobble around, and he realized, you know what, that's not me. I've had my acting career. I've retired here to this neighborhood. Because again, I didn't see anybody ever go in and out of that house. I just saw the monkey in the window. And I have to ask you, how much is that monkey in the window? So what are we were talking about who? We talked about The Odd Couple. We talked about Matthew Perry. I saw the commercial for it, and man, it's just the car. Matthew Perry is just. It looks like he. I don't know if he frosted his tips or he's going gray, and then Thomas Lennon is the Felix, and I don't even know if they have a Pigeon Sisters. I don't know. I just don't know who in their right mind decided to remake the fucking Odd Couple. Like I said, Matthew Perry maybe is just so fucking rich and so bored. He's just looking for a vehicle because he can't make movies. What were those movies he made with what the fuck? It was Bruce Willis and then Alicia Witt? No? I don't know. It was somebody. It's the chick who's like, she was naked in a bunch of movies and then Letterman loves her. He thinks she's a really funny interview. I can't remember. I don't know. I never saw those movies in the theater. I should have, probably. But it just seemed like, and this is probably why Matthew Perry's doing the fucking Odd Couple. When a TV star does movies, when a guy you're so familiar with, like we were with Friends with him, you then see that Matthew Perry's in a movie, and this is so stupid to say, because this is the very thing that I'm fighting in podcasting. When I do a podcast and then I put out an album, or I put out my podcasts are free, unless you want to buy the back catalog. Hey, go to the Joe Business page. But honestly, I try to sell my CD or I try to sell downloads, and people get pissed. They're like, dude, why the fuck should we pay for anything when you give us a free show every week? I mean, I literally have people written me and said things like that. And I think that's a stupid way to be. It's just like the same people who think, hey, why should I pay for a Metallica album when I can get all their music for free online? People were mad at Lars Ulrich or whatever for fighting against Napster, but really, I mean, he had a fucking point. Those guys spent a lot of money and they made that music and they wanted to sell it to you, and you decided, well, fuck you, I'm just going to go ahead and steal it, because you essentially stole it. I'm anti-piracy, folks, is what I'm going to say. Now, does that mean I have not pirated? Of course it doesn't mean that. Does it mean that I will not pirate in the future? Absolutely not. Perhaps I will pirate in the future. But at the same time, I have given a lot of money to Metallica in concert tickets and things like that, and so I try to offset it in my brain like that, but really that's not fucking fair. I should pay for everything I get. All right. So that's how I feel about Matthew Perry. Apparently, how I feel about Lars Ulrich. That's a lot of fucking circuitous talking and thinking. But the way I feel about Matthew Perry is like, I don't want to pay to see a movie he's in because I can see him on Friends for free on my television. Isn't that weird? Like, he could give the performance of a fucking lifetime and I'd be like, it's Matthew Perry. And that's terrible. It's shitty. It shouldn't be like that. I should be willing to go and see him and do the work that he always does. And look, let's be honest, I'm not fully invested in fucking Matthew Perry. I mean, if there was some TV dude that I like Walt, fucking, I almost called him Walter White, Bryan Cranston. Like, if Bryan Cranston was in a movie, I'm excited because I think Bryan Cranston is a very good actor, even though in Seinfeld and Breaking Bad, and I never watched Malcolm, but he's more known for television. But when he shows up in a movie, I'm like, fuck yeah, there's Bryan Cranston, he's going to kill it. But Matthew Perry, maybe it's something about comedy. Maybe it's something about serious and comedy. I don't know, it could be. Because, I mean, Jennifer Aniston broke through and became a movie star. But, like, would you go see a movie that had fucking Mayim Bialik in it? I don't know why I pulled her. Why was she the... You know why? Here's how my brain works. Because I couldn't think of the actor who plays Joey on Friends. And I was going to go, would you go see a movie with Joey Lawrence in it? Knowing, because I was going to say Joey from Friends, and then I went, no, it's Joey Lawrence. And I went, no, Joey Lawrence is in Blossom, and he Blossom's Mayim Bialik. That's where I went to Mayim Bialik. Isn't that funny how your fucking head works? I don't know how yours works, but that's how mine works. Literally, I could not find I still don't know his fucking name. The actor who plays Joey on Friends, Matt LeBlanc, finally. So I couldn't find the Matt LeBlanc B, but unfortunately the Mayim Bialik B, which I guess is kind of close. Mayim Bialik, Matt LeBlanc, that's fairly close. I could see getting those B's mixed up. You know what? Get off my fucking back, folks. I'll tell you what, get off my fucking back, because to mix up Matt LeBlanc and Mayim Bialik, that's not so bad. In the middle of your brain and talking fucking at the speed of your head, that's not so bad to get those two mixed up. Now, I'll tell you this, if you're a casting director, you certainly don't want to get those two mixed up. Oh my God. And I'll tell you what you also don't want to do? You don't want to pair them in anything, because nobody is watching the untitled Matt LeBlanc Mayim Bialik project. I can tell you, I am skipping that, whether it's on movies or television or Netflix, or if they actually, I'll tell you what, if they pulled up in a car or a motorcycle or a skateboard with a gas can, I would not watch anything they had to offer. If they stopped right here in front of the parked Murano, in between me and the parked Prius, and decided to give me a show. Wait, hold on. Someone's doing a turnaround and he's giving me the stare down. Hi, how you doing there? Haircut. Yeah, so I don't watch anything that they offer. I don't care where they do it. If they do it here in the street, they do it on television. If they're skywriting, if they're skydiving, I am out on the Matt LeBlanc, the untitled Matt LeBlanc and Mayim Bialik project. And by the way, here's me going back on that already. Immediately I backtrack, because remember I just said I wouldn't do it if they were skydiving? Bullshit. I'm absolutely involved if they're skydiving. You know why? On the off chance one of them dies. That's right, I won't lie to you, I'm a tragedy person. So if I'm going to think that there's a possibility that Matt LeBlanc or Mayim Bialik is going to crash to their death, I'm tuning in. You know what, casting directors, go ahead and pair them up. Individually too, if Matt LeBlanc does a skydiving show, I must admit I'm going to watch it. Mayim Bialik too, but if you pair them up, and the chance for a double celebrity death exists, I am absolutely on board. Maya Bialik, Matt LeBlanc, here's your chance. You want to reel in my eyeballs? You want to get me on board? You want to have me watching whatever it is you do in the future? Just make sure you're wearing parachutes. Yeah, that was a weird laugh. It was like a Woody Woodpecker laugh. So what were we talking about? We were talking about Mrs. Beatty. We discussed that. And we talked about Christ. There's so many different things. I'm a little thrown here, folks, because you may hear this. All right, I'm going to tell you. Fuck. You know what? This is so stupid. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I have to, because in my mind, you're going to know. And I don't like to fool you, dudes. I don't like to throw some curveball by you. Earlier, the first 20 minutes of the show or whatever, were done in a car. They were done. Oh, fuck. I'm going to tell you this whole story, and you're not going to. Well, I don't even know why. It's inside baseball, and there's no fucking reason to tell you it, but yet I'm going to tell you it anyway. I did the show in a car, the first 20 minutes at least. And as you heard, because I was distracted by every fucking mode of transportation that would come down the pike. And that's my fault, honestly, for parking on the pike. So I was in the car, and I mentioned there was ambient noise, and you could kind of hear how different it was. You heard me slam my car door. There was a guy on a skateboard. We had a gas can. And I referenced all this moments ago. So I was, all right, I'm recording this on Wednesday, but yesterday's part I recorded on Tuesday. Jesus Christ, you don't care, but yet I'm going to tell you for no reason. Because I feel like I have to, because I feel like at home, if one person even notices the difference, then they're like, see, that guy was totally bamboozling us. And I'm not here to bamboozle. So yesterday was recorded in a car. Yesterday, Tuesday. The reason being because, Lily was traveling, I was traveling. We couldn't get together, so I had to do this on my phone. And then I wound up having to record in between Travis barbecue shifts. I tried to get off yesterday because I told you I was getting on a plane at like 3 a.m. Wednesday morning, which is today, so earlier today. But Tuesday, they scheduled me to work a double, which is 2 different shifts. But that means I have like an hour and a half, or I usually have about 2 hours off in between. Well, yesterday, Tuesday, they needed me. Some fucking company ordered like $1,000 worth of food, and they're like, Mike, can you take it? And I'm like, yeah, because I figured there'd be a huge tip involved. So I'm like, all right, I'm in, because I'm a mercenary. If you know nothing else about me, folks, please take to heart the fact that I'm a mercenary. If you know nothing else besides the fact that I'm a mercenary, I will give you a bonus fact about myself. I cannot wait to see Maya Bialik die falling from a large distance, a high distance, a far distance, falling from a great height. I got confused there. So yeah, those are the 2 things you need to know about me. I don't suffer fools well. That's actually a 3rd thing. I want to see Maya Bialik die from a great height, and I'm a mercenary. Now, I will tell you this, as a mercenary, if you paid me enough money, perhaps I would push Maya Bialik from a great height. That way, 2 of my things that you know about me come true. I make a lot of money, and I get to watch Maya Bialik die from a great height. So I did that part of the show in the car, and I recorded about the first 20 minutes of the show in the vehicle, and then I had to go back to work. And I thought I would be able to get out of work a little early. Nope, no sir. I went to work, I delivered the $1,000, then we were busy all night long. And me and the other guy I was working with, and I even told him when he pulled up, I go, dude, listen, I need to leave here like as soon as I possibly can. He says, no problem, we'll see how the night goes. Well, the night went fucking terribly. Culminating in this. The last delivery of the night was a guy ordered at like 5 to 10. And he ordered, it was about 2 miles from the restaurant. So I go, and it's an apartment building, and you had to go up and get buzzed, and it's a fucking nightmare. So I get up there, and I knock on this dude's door, and he opens it up. He's got a cell phone in his hand, and I go, hey, I have a delivery. And he says, for who? And I tell him the name, and he goes, oh. He goes, and he yells the guy's name, and the guy goes, what? And he goes, you have food here at the door. And he goes, I didn't order any food. And I said, well, it's this address and this name. And the guy goes, well, he said it's this address and your name. And the other guy sitting in the other room still will not get out and come to the door. And he goes, it's not mine. I don't want it. I said, all right, look, somebody ordered from this address with this name. And the guy goes, well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm very sorry. And I go, and he's on his cell phone. The other guy's in the other room on his phone, and he won't even come to the door to acknowledge me. It's just, and then there's just fucking, it's a house full of bros who are all like, dude, we didn't want any barbecue. Now look, you would think if anybody would want fucking barbecue, it would be a house full of bros. It's either a house full of stoners or a house full of bros. That's usually who I deliver to. So come on, bros, step up. And if you were stoner bros, holy fuck, how do you not barbecue me and eat me, wolf me down? Instead, these dudes, this one dickbag won't even get up. He's in the fucking other room, and he's like, yeah, no, it's not mine. Don't want it. So as they're squabbling and arguing, each of them on their cell phones, and a third guy walks through the hallway on his fucking cell phone, I call the number on the ticket. And kid answers, And I said, hey, this is Baby Blues. Did you order food? And he's like, yeah. I said, okay. I said, what's the address? And he repeats the address, and this is the address on the ticket. I will say it's whatever. It's like 1131 Metazula Lane, apartment 1711. And I said, okay, I have that. I'm here. They're telling me you don't live here and you don't want the food. He's like, oh, no, that's my friend's address. I go, so? And he goes, so I'm actually at my house. And his friend looks at me and goes, yeah, is he on the phone? And I go, yeah. And he goes, here. And so I hand this guy my phone. He now has he's got his phone to one ear and my phone to the other ear. And the dickbag is still in the motherfucking living room, and he won't fucking come out and talk to me. Then he goes, hey, man, why are you ordering food here? And they have a conversation. He's like, oh. He goes, well, this guy says that you ordered food for this address. And I can't hear the other fucking side of the conversation. Finally, he hands me back the phone, and I go, all right, dude, what's the story? He goes, yeah, I did. It was, I didn't mean to order it there. I go, but when I just asked you the address, you repeated it back to me. He goes, yeah. I go, where are you? He goes, well, can you just come to my house? I'm not far from there. And I'm at this point, I go, dude, we're closed, man. I don't understand this fucking runaround nonsense. And he's just like, I'm really sorry. I'll take care of you when you get here, please, please. And so what I did is I had to calculate the distance because we have a delivery area. So then I thought he was trying to run a game on me, and possibly he was going to get his food delivered outside of the delivery area by giving a different address and then getting me to go just a little bit farther. So sure enough, I fucking checked it, and that's wrong. He's still within our delivery area. So I said, all right, I'm on my way. And I went over to his house, and he answered the door, and he's like, thanks. And he gave me like an extra $6, which was nice, because he'd already tipped $4 on the tab, and it was only a $24 tab. So good for him. He recognized that he was a dick. But I said to him, I go, I'm just confused. I go, why would you order over there? He goes, I think it was my app. My app made the mistake because I ordered with my app on the phone, and I think the last time I ordered from you guys with that address. I said, I understand that. Why would you tell me verbally that was the address you wanted the food sent to? And he's like, I forgot where I was. I forgot where I was. How do you even argue with that? How do you get mad? This guy floats out on a cloud of fucking weed smoke like Aladdin. Curly shoes and everything, and he's just like, oh, I forgot where I was. You forgot where you was. And again, he tipped me $10, so I'm like, all right, fine. But I mean, now it's 10:40. I'm supposed to be out of there at 10. I wanted to be out earlier. So I finished there. I go back to work. I finish the paperwork. We tip out, and then I go home. And I got to return. I got to do the show last night. I know I have to do it before I get on a plane because I don't want to go to Milwaukee and do it because I'm coming to Milwaukee to see Jill. And I'm supposed to be done by then. I mean, it's an inconvenient thing for her. It's inconvenient. It's not nice. It's just not a nice thing to do. So I got home, and again, this is how much continuity means to me. And how much I want to make sure that you folks are nestled in a comfortable place when you listen to this podcast. I don't want you to be jarred by surprises. I don't want you to hear things and go, wait, that's different. Even though every week this show's fucking different. I'm in a different place. I'm in somebody's car. I'm in a fucking room with a dog, whatever. So this time, here's what I do. Because I know the first 20 minutes were done in a car. I decide I have to do the rest of the show in a car. I know you're scoffing. I can hear you clucking your tongues. You're pissed. You're astonished at this turn of events. But also some of you that know me, A, I'm a mercenary. B, I want to see my Bialik die from a great height. And C, I don't suffer fools well. Well, here's a fourth thing you don't know about me, or maybe you do now. I care too much about things that nobody else cares about. So I foolishly thought that I was going to do this show inside a car over and over, so you guys wouldn't hear any difference in the ambient noise. You'd hear cars go by. You'd still think I was still in the car, and that you wouldn't understand that fucking 7 hours had passed since the first chunk that I had recorded. Because it's fucking weird doing this show on the phone, and you know that. We've talked about it a million times. It's neat. I mean, it affords me the opportunity to be able to do it from wherever the fuck I want, but I didn't like that. I wanted to do it in a car for you folks. That's right. I blame you. So I get to my house, and I could park in my carport area and do the show from there, but then there's maybe some ambient noise, but there's no cars going by. I'm ensconced in a parking spot and not having to worry about any sort of motion or wind. So I decide I'm going to park outside. I'm going to park outside the building and do my show. So I park outside on the street, And I was so stupid. I don't know if I'm a sound engineer in a former life, but I actually rolled the windows down exactly to where they were rolled down when I was doing the show earlier in the afternoon. And I jump right in. So I start to do another segment, and I'm recording, and I'm talking. And I will tell you this, my street where I live, infinitely busier than the street from the first 20 minutes of this podcast. Certainly there were cars, there was a skateboard, a plane, some choppers. But my joint was just non-stop fucking cars. And they were flying by, bang, bang. You kept hearing it. My car would even shake. There was wind. And then in my head, I started to wonder if the continuity would suffer because there were so many cars. Would you think that I was, because I kept talking about, remember I was on a quiet side street? And then all of a sudden I'm getting blasted by cars. And in my head, as I'm doing the show, I'm even going, you know what, man, this isn't good. Like, they're going to notice that I'm on a different street. When none of you fucking care. Nobody cares what I'm doing. You don't care if I'm on a street, in a car. Nobody has any fucking interest in where I do the show as long as I do the show. I can do this show hanging from the fucking monkey bars in a playground somewhere. Probably not a good idea. I'll probably go to jail for something like that. Some kid will say some bad thing, like I swore and throw me in the clink. And I would swear, certainly. But then again, I always swear on the monkey bars. That should be the name of the show, don't you think? I always swear on the monkey bars. I have to remember it because I'm alone. I don't have the best producer in Hollywood here, in the oldest building in Hollywood, to fucking keep track of what could be the title of the goddamn show. I always swear on the monkey bars. That's a long title, though. And swear on the monkey. Well, we talked about a monkey earlier. That doesn't mean anything. Let's see, but I talked about the monkey yesterday. See, I'm showing my powers of recall. Fuck. Anyway. So, I'm outside, and I'm talking, and doing the show in the car, even though you don't care about it, but I'm trying to make sure it's as true to the first 20 minutes as possible, even though a million cars are going by and flying by. And I'm talking, and I will tell you this, I have to do this show in chunks, as I've mentioned before, when I'm doing it on the phone, because otherwise I can't email them to Lily. They don't make it in time. Or they're not able to be sent through the ether, through the world. So I'm talking. All of a sudden I look down at the phone, and I realize that I'm at like 28 minutes. And I'm still talking, and I look down, and I see him at 28 minutes, and I realize I've got to wrap this up because one time I tried to send a 46-minute chunk to her, and it didn't fucking go. So I had to actually plug it into my laptop. It was a mess. So, yeah, that's a mess. I had to plug it in my laptop. That's what I consider a mess, folks. I am so fucking spoiled. That's a mess. Oh my God, I got to plug my phone into my laptop and extricate an audio file and then send it? Boo! Why can't I just push a button like normally, dick? I'm in the car, I'm talking, I look down, I'm at about 28 and a half minutes. And I'm like, all right, well, kind of finish this segment or get somewhere to a stopping point so you can send this to Lily. Because I'm pushing it closer to 30. Even emailing 30 minutes is hard. But I'm willing to give it a try. So I finally talk, I get to a point, and I finish the last thing that I'm going to say, and then I stumble over a word. And then I actually go like, God damn it. And then I let some time bleed. And then I stop the track, the recording. Now, I should tell you, when I was doing phone shows earlier, again, this whole year 7's been kind of a jinx year. It's been kind of funky for technical stuff. I've been doing some shows on the phone, and then I send them to Lily, and she puts them together. But it's hard for her to listen to them and put them together and know exactly what I wanted done. So I have been making these copious notes. Please cut this word out and stitch this together. And one time she didn't do it. It was easy to miss because she's putting together 9 pieces of a goddamn jigsaw puzzle. And it was my fault because I wasn't explicit in the email telling her exactly what I wanted. And there was like silence, or I don't even know what the fuck it was. Whatever it was, it drove me out of my fucking mind. And I was mad at myself for not taking care of it. So what I've learned to do then is I've learned to trim the audio file, even the audio file on my phone. I'm not using Audacity or anything. It's literally just a voice memo on my goddamn phone. But I can go ahead and trim the audio file, and I will talk, and then I'll let some time bleed, and I'll trim like the last, 30 to 40 seconds of whatever I'm recording, and then I'll send it to Lily for her to build because it gives her less to do. I feel badly enough about having her try to stitch together this fucking jigsaw puzzle that I talked, 2,000 miles away from her. But she's nice enough to do it, and I appreciate it very much because her life has gotten crazy busy, as has mine. But now I've learned to trim a little bit on the end, so it saves her just a tiny bit of work, just enough. So I should tell you, this happens last night. I get home from work, I left work about 11:15 or 11:10. I got home about 11:40, and I started to record in the car about 11:45, 11:50. So it was about 12:20, 12:25 when I finished recording. That's a lot of time talk. Jesus God. What the fuck is this, top of the hour? Traffic and weather together on the 4s? Fuck. So I'm in the car and I finish the recording and I go to trim the last 30 seconds of the file. Now, there's a little square that you push and then it expands the entire file, and then you grab and you slide across the trimmer, the little cutter, and it cuts off what you need to cut off. Well, so I did it. I opened up the file and I grabbed the cutter and I slid it over. Now, when I've done it in the past, because I'm cutting, from the back, so I grabbed the back cutter and I slide it a little bit and then I hit play so I can hear exactly where I need to cut it. So it's kind of it is an exact science because I have to find out exactly where I'm going to cut it to trim off that little amount of time. But it's a lot of trial and error. I have to slide my fat thumb back and I have to make sure the cutter hits the right thing and it's the right word, and I got to slide my fat thumb back and I got to slide my fat thumb back over and over. Then I swear at a kid on the monkey bars. So that's usually how I do it, and that's how I did it, 6 fucking weeks ago, the last time I did this. Well, yesterday, I opened up the audio file, and it got big, and it was like I said, it was almost 30 minutes, 29 minutes and like 38 seconds or something. So I take my thumb and I grab the cutter, and I slide the cutter all the way to the right. And there's a cancel button and a delete button and a trim button, I believe, or an edit button. And so I'm sliding it and I want to hit play. But again, I have fat thumbs that I've been sliding back. You may have heard about those. So I go to hit play just to find out where the audio file is. And I slid I slide it over, and instead my thumb hits trim. And I hear a click. And I see the time counter go from 29 minutes and 38 seconds to 38 seconds. And I'm staring at my phone and I go, no. Because again, it's 12:40. I'm sitting outside in my car and I have to be on our lovely friend Erica is picking me up at 3:45 to get on a plane. So I probably wasn't going to get any sleep anyway. And yesterday was a long day because I had to set my alarm for 5:30 to check in with Southwest. And then I had to get up at 7 and go to the gym. And then I had to work a double. So I was pretty beat. I was trying to record the show, and sure enough, I fucking slid. Here's what I did. Normally, like I said, I slide the cutter from the back to the front. And I slide it just a little bit so I can make sure to get the 30 seconds of whatever the fuck that I have to get out. But this time I slid the cutter from the front to the back, and instead of hitting play, I hit trim, and I cut out 29 minutes of audio. And I'm staring at my phone, and I mean, dudes, there's nothing more, like, I hate myself as it is, all right? But then when you do something so stupid, such a terrible move, and something that could have been so easily fixed, and it was a mistake. My thumb hit the wrong button, and it doesn't give you a choice. It doesn't say, are you sure, or do you want to delete? It doesn't do that. And if you do accidentally cut something, it doesn't say restore. It doesn't say undo. There's none of the stuff that comes in like Microsoft Office where you can bring back the shit that you just fucking cut. So I hear the click, and I look, and there's fucking like 38 seconds of audio, and I'm like, no! I didn't yell, I was pissed. And I hit play, and remember the click I heard? For some reason, that's audible. It's just kind of silent, then you hear it, and then it picks up. I will tell you this, the edit was clean, because it picks up exactly where I wanted to edit out. The end. I wanted the last 38 seconds out. Well, I fucking hit the post on that, except I cut out the first 29 fucking minutes, and not the last 38 seconds. And I'm staring at my phone, and I'm hitting every button. I hit the little garbage can to see if I can recover what's in it. I try to hit fucking delete and cancel and trim, all of it. None of it helps. And I'm sitting there, and I'm trying not to get mad. I'm trying, because again, I'm mad at myself. Again, it's my fault. It's nobody else's fault but mine. And then you go into that death spiral, you know what I mean? Where you're just like, fuck, this podcast is my job. I just fucked this up. You know why? Because I fucking delivered food all day instead of concentrating this goddamn podcast. So sure enough, I worked a double. I recorded when I could, when in reality, I should be recording this fucking show and delivering coleslaw when I can. You know what I mean? I should flip-flop this motherfucker. I should be concentrating on doing the podcast and recording and being funny. But instead, I'm taking doubles and delivering fucking food so I can go ahead and pay my rent, which is fucking stupid. It's my own fault. I've gotten myself into this goddamn situation. There's nothing I can do about it. Well, there is. I can try to work forward and get through it, which is what I'm trying to do. But motherfucker, when you cut out 29 minutes of audio, all of a sudden you realize, A, why you have a fucking producer, and B, you've really reached a point in your life that you need to start making some goddamn changes because you just fucking killed a half hour of audio. And you know what's funny is a couple weeks ago, Lily and I think we lost 9 minutes of audio during a show. One time, the most we'd ever lost before was like 18 or 22, I forget. I think it was 22 minutes of audio. That was with Lily. I destroyed that record. I fucking Roger Bannistered the shit out of that record. I lapped it cleanly, man. I fucking lost 29 minutes of audio. Now, granted, it led to me giving you this stellar story about what the fuck to do when you're trying to edit on a phone at 12:30 in the morning in your goddamn Murano. Certainly you're bringing this and you're taking life lessons from it. But I sat there in the fucking car staring at my phone. And again, it's that situation where I want to explode. I want to just fucking scream fuck at the top of my lungs, which I did last year in episode 36, Finn. I showed you how I did it. Where unleashed a fucking Maynard Keenan fuck as loudly and as long as I could. But it's 12:40 and I'm beat and I got to get in the house and I'm sitting in the street and people are driving by and I had nothing, man. I didn't even have rage. I had resignation. And I just said to myself, you know what, man? Go in the fucking house. I even said it out loud. You know what, man? Go in the fucking house. Because hanging outside wasn't doing anybody any fucking favors. I needed to just go ahead and get in the house and figure out my next fucking move. So I think I probably shrugged. I slumped down in the fucking front seat of the Murano. I just started the car, did a fucking U-turn and went up the street, parked in my carport, went in the house, ambled in. And I had plans, man, for last night. Big plans, because I was leaving town for like 5 days. So I wanted to do some laundry, clean out the house. I had some bills to do. These are big plans, folks. But I got in the house and I sat down and the thing is I knew I had to record. That's the thing. It became, and this is what I never want. You know, I don't ever want it to be that I have to record. I want to do it because I want to do it. I love doing it. I love talking. I love being funny. I love doing the show. But and it's funny, this is the shit I do when Lily's not here to tell me I shouldn't do this. So I apologize, Lily. I know you're listening. So it shouldn't be a chore. This should be a fucking joy. This should be the thing that I live to do. It's the thing I do best. So why the fuck shouldn't it be the thing that I want to do more than anything else in the fucking world? And it is. Except, you know, when you wake up at 5 in the morning and then you wake up at 7 in the morning and you go to the gym and you fucking lift and then you go and work a double and you record at a fucking side street and then you lose 30 minutes of audio. Because again, there's no script to this fucking show. So you lose 30 minutes, you're fucking dead, man. Dead. DED. So I get in the house and I knew I had to record. And I wrote my bills out. I did a fucking stuff in the kitchen. I cleaned everything up. I straightened the house up, and I wasn't packing. I don't need to bring a bag because I have a bunch of clothes over at Jill's house. I'd actually texted her, hey, do I need to bring a suitcase? Like, do I have enough stuff to get through the next 5 days? And not that matters. I'm just going to be fucking naked the entire time anyway. But I wanted to make sure still. We have to go. I know we have to make one trip to the airport, and we're going to see one movie. And very rarely can you go naked to the airport without arousing some sort of suspicion. Although actually, you know what? You should always be able to go naked to the airport without arousing suspicion because it proves you don't have a fucking bomb. Nobody has to pat you down. There's no TSA. If you go to the airport, go naked. You know what? We should challenge that. We should absolutely fucking challenge that. We should go naked to the airport. I've done it before where I was like, you know, I've let my clothes fall, like I took my pants off and all that bullshit because it's just like, look, dude, you want my belt? Fine. My pants are gonna hit the floor. That's my favorite drowning pool song, by the way. let Mike's pants hit the floor. So it was banned after 9/11, and I don't think I ever forgot it. So yeah, but if you go naked, man, there's no fucking bombs. You should be able to just walk right through security and head to the goddamn plane, right? Wouldn't you think? Other than some sort of decency laws or indecency laws. I'm not going to be the one to try this. I should tell you that right now. If you guys want to try it, go ahead. I prefer to all of my naked to be in a house here in Milwaukee. At the airport, not so much. But I wanted to pack some stuff, and I didn't need to bring clothes, so I packed up my laptop and I sat down in my chair, and that's dangerous for me because this is what I do. When I'm home, man, I get up, I go to the gym, and then I work a double, and then I come home and I sit in my chair and I watch cupcake shows until I fall asleep. Or I watch Keith Olbermann until I fall asleep, and then I just pass out. So last night, I guess I thought I could get through the Olbermann show, and I sat down and I'm watching it, and it was about, by the time I sat down in my chair, it was like 1:35 after I cleaned up the house, tidied everything up, did everything I needed to do, and I turned on Keith Olbermann, and I fell asleep. And I woke up at 2:45, thankfully, because the last time on my trip I overslept and had to run out of the house and meet Erica. Finally, I don't know what woke me up the last time, but this time I did get up, took a shower, and realized, you know what, dude, I don't have any time to record. I didn't have any time to record in the morning because I fell asleep, and it wouldn't have been fucking good anyway because I was so miserable. And you know what, honestly, if I would have recorded last night, I would have just spent most of the time telling you about how I had lost 30 minutes of audio and where I had parked and the thing that I had done to record the show. And nobody wants to fucking hear that, right? So if I had somehow been able to record last night, you know what, it would have been the same fucking thing I said today, but with a lot less enthusiasm because I was just in this death spiral. So I woke up, got in the shower, got ready to go. Our friend Erica was picking me up at 3:45, and in my head, Jill texted me to make sure that I was awake because I'd overslept the last fucking time, and I felt like an idiot. And I texted her. I said, I'm awake, and she's like, how'd the show go? And I'm like, well, here's the thing. And I told her that I had lost the 30 minutes of audio, and she's like, honey, I'm sorry, I love you. And I said, yeah, I know, thank you. I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, I think I may actually record some in Erica's car, and then record some in the airport in LA, and then record some in Vegas at the airport and see what I can knock out. And those all sounded like good ideas when I said them. But then I got into Erica's car, and, she's a really nice person who's giving me a ride to the airport. Do you think she wants me to just start fucking talking into my phone in her passenger seat? No, she wants to have some nice conversation in the morning. It's bad enough she got up at 3:45 in the fucking morning. Bullshit. She got up at 2:45 to pick me up at 3:45. Take me to the goddamn airport, and then what? I'm going to sit in the car and just fire off my random thoughts about talking in a car when I talked in a car earlier and lost 30 minutes? I don't think so, man. That's not nice. That's not polite. So, again, it seemed like a good idea at the time, but when I got in the car, it wasn't happening. Then I moseyed through security. Southwest was a fucking zoo, but there was, for some, I had my mobile boarding pass and no bag, so I went right to security. Dude, there was nobody in security. There were like 50 people outside to use the sky cap, and at least 150 people in line to check in at the kiosks. I don't know what the fuck or where people were going, but sure enough, I just went ahead to security, and I breezed right through. There were 2 people ahead of me. 2 people! Went through, got shimmied and fucking patted down, and they looked at my belt closely for some fucking reason. And I found a seat in LAX, but it was too busy. It was Southwest. And I'm like, remember when I recorded some in the Chicago airport? It's because there was fucking nobody around, and I had a couple-hour layover. Well, I only had an hour until I was getting on the plane in LA, and there were too many people all over the place. So I didn't see me sitting down and just firing off some fucking dialogue, and I was beat anyway. So boarded the plane, I flew, it was on time, I went and I got to Vegas, my layover was there, and I'm like, here's where I get some work done. I'm here for like an hour and 15 minutes. If I can sit down and fire off another half hour, I'm good. Even an hour, whatever I can get out will be great. So I get there, and I find an empty spot close to my gate, and I sit down, and I'm starting to get the phone out. Literally, I'm just thumbing through it. I'm about ready to kind of start recording. I'm listening to the last recording to see the last thing I said so I can kind of match it for Lily. And fuck me, man. I'm sitting there, and this dude walks up in like khaki shorts and a yellow polo, and he's got, I have a Bluetooth. And those are annoying because I'm talking and I look like I'm talking to nobody. Like maybe Jesus is with me and you can't see him. But in reality, I have a little Bluetooth in my ear, and it matches up with my phone, and I can talk. Well, I find that to be functional, and I find that to be useful, and I find it to be necessary. The thing that drives me crazy are the people who talk into, they have like you ever see the people who have like a microphone that runs from their phone to their earbud to their mouth? Like they're wired, they're connected. It's not wireless, it's not Bluetooth. They're plugged into their fucking phone, and they're actually talking into a contraption. Nah, dudes, I'm 48 years old now, 47, no, 48. I'll be 48 in July. Dudes, I do not ever in my life want to have a contraption that close to my mouth. I don't. The Bluetooth's up in my ear. It's safe. It picks up my sound waves. It picks up the vibrations of my jaw. I don't know how Bluetooth works, but I'm assuming it's all of those things and mixed into one little small package. But this dude, this angly Bill Walton looking motherfucker, is wearing a yellow polo and khaki shorts and like fucking sandals, and he's talking into a contraption. He's got a gizmo around his head, folks. It looks like he's going to go to bed with his headgear in, but talk to a business partner while he's doing so. Fuck you, headgear. So he comes over and he's talking so loudly, folks. Like, I was worried that doing this podcast in an airport would draw attention to me and people would be upset, and especially the fact that I say cunt 5 times. I don't think I have. That's only one. So I got 4 on deck. All right, you guys ready? I got 4 of those coming. No, but I say fuck every other word. So I'm sitting there in the airport and I'm like, oh, I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it. Well, this fucking Bigfoot just wanders in and starts yammering into a goddamn gizmo around his fucking head. Not even caring about his surroundings. Doesn't care about the general public. Just lets everyone know that he's going to re-fi or Wi-Fi or something fi. And I'm like, dude, no one you know what? How about some lo-fi? Turn that fucking voice down. That is way too much fi for me. Take some fee, some fo, and some fum and take your fucking Bigfoot walking, dick. So furious. But he wouldn't stop. And so eventually I had to get up and grind his bones to make my bread. I'm sitting there and I wanted to talk. But it's funny, I'm flying to Wisconsin, so I'm surrounded by old people, and I know they're going to be offended when I say fuck. So the Vegas airport, I just fucking sat there. I didn't do it. And then in my head, I'm like, maybe I could talk on the plane. Because remember I made the joke about planes flying over me, and I mean, all the modes of transportation. And I said, maybe I can record some of this on the plane. But dudes, you think there's ambient noise on a quiet side street? You've been on a plane, and I'm sitting in 17F, so I'm kind of right above the wing, which is where the engines are located, I think. I don't know. You'll have to ask that dude from Germany. He probably knew how a plane worked. As he crashed into a goddamn mountain. How terrible is that fucking story? And this is a guy who flies a lot. I mean, I fly a ton. I don't know what well, first of all, maybe I'm not paying attention here, but I guess there was a pilot and a co-pilot, and the pilot left the cockpit. Now, this used to happen a lot in the old days. I can remember when I was flying planes, 20 years ago, and the pilot would get out and almost want to fucking swing his dick around at everybody and be like, yeah, I'm flying this fucking thing. But now I'm out here in the hallway. Take that. You guys can't lose me. I'm fucking so important to this trip. Like, you would walk through with this weird captain suit. My friend Mark's a pilot. I wonder if he ever did that, where you just kind of walk out of the cockpit and you're like, yeah, check me out. Here's me. How you like me now? Do a Como D and fucking crip walk down the center of the fucking plane? Maybe I would do that. Mark, if you're doing that or you're not doing it, you're missing an opportunity. I want to go to flight school just so I can do that. So I can leave the cockpit and do a crip walk down the fucking center aisle. Which is probably a better reason than a bunch of guys from Saudi Arabia went to flight school. I'll tell you that. Who's that one dude who didn't show up? There was one hitchhiker who didn't show up. Hitchhiker. They weren't hitchhikers. They were hijackers. There was one hijacker who didn't show up. You know why? Because he only went to flight school to learn how to fucking crip walk and say, how you like me now, like Cool Modi. And he knew, even if he got to do it on that plane trip, he'd only get to do it once. So he wanted to make sure he was going to be able to do it many times. And Muhammad Atta's like, you know what, dude? Enough with the crip walk. Why don't you just stay home and get some sleep? And they fucking left him behind. So this pilot in Germany, he fucking leaves the cockpit. And again, folks, forgive me. Everything I know is from my email blurbs from the New York Times and people on Facebook who are up in arms over this. And depressed people who somehow think that this validates their existence. And look, I have some low-level depression. There are people out there who struggle with depression. I'm not minimizing that struggle. However, just because this dude was depressed and then he went ahead and crashed a plane, it's not good enough for you to stand up and go, see? Well, yes, we get it. Depression's fucking awful. But this isn't going to make anybody go, shit, we better help these depressed people or else all the pilots are going to start crashing into the goddamn mountains. But I guess this kind of forwards your case a little bit. You know what you guys need to do? You need to start becoming more pilots, be depressed, and have them crash into mountains. Then maybe we'll take you seriously. Maybe. So this pilot, again, like I said, in the old days, pilots would come out and they'd do that thing where they high-fived everybody and they'd drink a gimlet and then they do a beer bong and they go back into the fucking cockpit. That's the way it worked. That was the old days. Because pilots, they just, they came out, they swung the dick around, they did a beer bong, they pointed at you with the Ted Lange fucking finger guns, and they went in and they flew the plane and brought us in for a goddamn landing. Because pilots were men and tough. And then, and then even ladies, when ladies became pilots, they were men and tough, and they were fucking badasses. And they'd come out and they'd, fucking show you their tits, and you'd throw beads at them, they'd put them on, they'd land that fucking plane, man, because they were proud of themselves and their bodies. Well, now, after 9/11, after those guys got involved, jerks, they ruined it for everybody. They certainly ruined it for pilots who wanted to suck up compliments. I would have to say that the pilots who liked sucking up compliments are the biggest victims of 9/11. When you really think about it, pilots used to like getting out and fucking meeting the people and kind of being, hey, look, I'm the pilot. And everybody's like, ooh, that's fucking awesome. And so they got that every single flight. They got their dick hard by getting told that they were important. Well, then after 9/11, we made them lock themselves in the front cockpit so nobody else could get in there and fight with them. And so they're like, dudes, I totally want to go get some compliments. They're like, sit down, pal. You got to bring this plane in for landing. And it became more of an arduous process. It became more of a Bataan death march, or a death flight, if you will. Well, I guess in Germany, this pilot was tired of it, man. He's like, you know what? Why do I have to? Someone's like, don't forget 9/11. He's like, I forgot it already. I'm not American. I'm a German, goddammit. I don't need to concern myself with that kind of nonsense. And they're like, dude, seriously, it's kind of everybody. And he's like, no, I think not. I think now's the time to take a stand. And by take a stand, I mean take a stand up and a walk out and a dance down the aisle and a high five everybody and go, check me out, man. Look at me. How you like me now? I'm a serious pilot. And then he looked over at his co-pilot, who I have to imagine was sharpening a razor blade and making a droopy dog face. That's the only way I can process this guy doing what he did. I picture him, like if it was Airplane, the one dude would be like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he's going to go, hey, I'm going to go take a walk down the aisle. And the other dude was reading a Dear John letter. You know what? Hey, maybe that's what happened. This is exactly what happened in Germany. The pilot went out to take a walk, and he got sick from food poisoning. And then Robert Hayes had to go up to try to help land the plane. And he so freaked out and depressed the co-pilot, the guy put it into a mountain instead of hanging himself or committing suicide. Remember that in the movie? When Robert Hayes would sit next to everybody and they would end up killing themselves? Well, this is exactly what happened. The pilot walked out to get some accolades. He unfortunately had the fish. He passed out. He was ill. Robert Hayes goes in there to try to land the plane. Lloyd Bridges is trying to talk him down from the fucking ground. Robert Stack has to show up and do some different... And these are all ghosts, by the way. The ghosts of Lloyd Bridges and Robert Stack showed up. But Robert Hayes is up there, and Stryker, depresses this guy so much the guy puts it to the side of a mountain. I solved it. I've solved the case. That guy wasn't depressed. He was sitting next to fucking Ted Stryker. So again, what happened is the pilot goes out to get accolades, and this dude just fucking locks him out of the cockpit. And after going out and getting high fives and being carried around on people's shoulders and drinking, the pilot goes, hey, all right, well, you know what? Let me back in to fly out this bad boy. And the guy's like, nope. He said, dude, you need me. I'm the pilot. I'm going to bring this in for a quiet landing. You handle it in the sky for a little bit, but they trust me. I'm the big gun. And that guy said, no, I can't help you. And he said, I'm the top gun. He said, no, I can't help you. We are heading into the danger zone. And by the danger zone, I mean the side of a mountain. And this dude just fucking mopily crashed that plane and killed everybody, right? Isn't that what happened? And that's never good when that happens right when you're about to get on a goddamn plane. Because my girlfriend, she flies here all the time, and she's always freaked out about flying and doesn't know exactly what to do. But now she was freaked out early in her trips. But now, because she used to have a couple of pops to get on a plane, but now, fuck it, man, she's awesome. She's like I think honestly, if she had been on that plane in Germany, she would have burst into the cockpit and landed the plane. She would have wrestled that guy to the goddamn ground. Although I got to be honest, if she would have gotten into the cockpit and he would have looked at her, he wouldn't have been depressed anymore. I'll be honest with you. He would have taken a look at her and said, hey, you know what? There are things to live for. And then he would have landed the plane and she would have said, sorry, I have a boyfriend. And he said, I should have crashed this plane into a mountain like I planned on. So I didn't get to record in those places. I didn't get to record on the plane. And I didn't get to record in Vegas. And then I got on the plane and I came here to Milwaukee, which is where I'm at now. And, I saw my beautiful girlfriend, Jill. And we spent about 5 hours in bed. And now I'm here in a quiet kitchen as she naps. And I record the rest of the show for you folks. I think that makes me a fucking hero. What do you think? I think I am a goddamn hero. Take that to the bank. Apparently I'm Beretta. Hold on. This is going to be loud, but I have to open a water bottle. It sucks. I should have had them open and ready to go, but I did not. And now I'm going to drink water, but I'll do it away from the microphone. Okay. I had to do a throat thing. You know what? I should open this other bottle too, so I don't have to open it later. But you know what I could probably do is I could open it when I have to take a pause. No, I'll open it now because I'm a jerk. And you hear me put the cap down. God, why am I so fascinated by ambient noise? Why do we hear it everywhere? I need to get into a fucking quiet booth. Like I said, one of those booths with money. Where they just scoop it up. But instead with water. Did I say that? You should fill that booth with water and just fucking you have to race the podcast until you drown or before you drown? I may have said that earlier. Again, I did the show yesterday, part of it. So I'm here in Milwaukee recording. And I had so many things I wanted to tell you guys. I was telling you earlier that I had culture. Did I mention that? Remember I was talking about how I had culture? And the woman from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I saw her live in a production of Streetcar Named Desire at the Steppenwolf Theater, the famous Steppenwolf Theater in Chicago, Illinois. And I know you're thinking to yourself, well, that's not a lot of culture. That's just the woman from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, the wife, who certainly is a classy presence and a lovely woman, but she's not enough to proclaim an entire production classy. Well, let me tell you this. You know who else was on stage playing Stanley Kowalski? Matt LeBlanc. That's right. Matt LeBlanc was there. And Mayim Bialik was the next door neighbor. So I go back on everything I said earlier about the casting director because it wasn't a bad play. Turned out to be pretty good. No, I saw Steppenwolf put on this show. I saw them put on the amazing Streetcar Named Desire, with that woman being Stella. But her Stanley Kowalski was none other than Lieutenant Dan, You Got Magic Legs, Gary Sinise. Yes, that's right. I saw him starring with a white tank top as Stanley Kowalski and dominating the stage, chewing up the scenery like a bull in a streetcar shop. He was just rampaging. Or perhaps he was like a bull in a Desire shop. Or maybe he was like a streetcar in a bull shop. Or he was like Desire in a name shop. Oh, God. So Sinise is there, and he's Stanley Kowalski, and you're thinking, well, that's powerhouse, that's class. But I'll tell you what, here's even more class, folks. Because I went and saw this production in this got to be, I'm going to say 93? That's my guess. Maybe 1994, but I'm guessing 1993. And in this production, there was another partner. Stanley Kowalski has a friend. He has a sidekick. He has a Robin. And he does not have a Robin. It's not like they're fighting crime. If Stanley Kowalski were fighting crime, he'd have to arrest himself immediately, right? Because he was just a lout. He was a big mouth lout. Not unlike Gary Sinise these days in real life, as he tells women that they can't have abortions and tells people that they need to go ahead and be conservative and believe in Jesus or whatever the fuck he does with his life. And he's very pro-military, which I think we all are, quite frankly. Although I'll tell you this, I'm anti-non-American military. I mean, I root for those people, and I certainly don't want any bad things to come to them, but if I had to root in a war, I'm going to root for us. I'm on our side. I don't think I'm out of line in saying something like that. Is that a controversial position that I've just taken? I root for the Americans. Take that. If there's some sort of war, I am absolutely on board with America winning because I'm here. Unless we're fighting, well, who would we fight? Who would I want in a war? Nah, you know what? Fuck it. I go with us in a war every time. I demand we win our wars. I don't demand it, but I root for us. It's not like soccer. Like in soccer, I want us to get our ass beat because we're fucking America. You know, we've got too many other good things going on for us. We don't need to take soccer from the rest of the world. Seriously, there's like 5 dirt farmers in Chile kicking around a cantaloupe and we're going to fucking crush their dreams? Bullshit. Go out there and win. Win the World Cup, Chile. Let us fucking go ahead and have the rest of the thing. We have the Kardashians. You can win the fucking World Cup. However, in a war, Chile, do not bring it. Those same dirt farmers are going to arm themselves with slingshots and cantaloupes and you are going to get fucking crushed by the American war machine and I will be there leading the cheers. Because apparently, when we fight Chile, they're going to build bleachers. And you know what? I will be sitting in the front row next to Gary Sinise rooting for the Americans to crush those Chileans. Is it Chileans? I think so. But in that production, you know, Gary Sinise was there and he was taking care of business every day and then taking care of business every way. He was also taking care of business. It's all right. Well, he was taking care of business and working overtime. It's all rhyme? It's so fine? I don't know that lyric. Is it a lyric? Or am I writing a song before your very eyes? Maybe there's a cover tune. Maybe I now have to pay ASCAP. Do I have to do that? I've thought about that. Dude, I fucking quote so many song lyrics. Eventually, ASCAP is going to audit this show, and they're going to go, hey, you owe us $84,000. That's going to seem high. And I will laugh a hearty laugh and go, get in line. And probably my comments about piracy earlier in the show didn't help with that at all. ASCAP is really going to audit me. And if not ASCAP themselves, then certainly they'll send Lars Ulrich to do the job and his jackbooted thugs. Does Lars Ulrich have a team of jackbooted thugs? I don't want to say. I know he has a house full of priceless artworks. That's always beautiful when some metal drummer winds up owning like 5 Picassos. And it happens it happens a lot more often than you would think. I won't lie. Not only is someone along the lines of our friend Lars Ulrich owning all of this artwork, I know for a fact that Alex Van Halen owns 4 Matisses. He has those in his house. And I will tell you this, though. He has painted sunglasses on all of them. Because why not? He's Alex Van Halen. He's a rock star. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. I'm going to talk about them in a minute. But I wanted to talk more about our friend Gary Sinise storming the stage in Streetcar Names Desire. Streetcar Names Desire. That was a different play entirely. That was about a baby named Desire, and well, it wasn't named Desire at first. It was just a baby until a Bojangles type dancer named Streetcar named it. Oh God, shut up! Literally, shut up! Fuck this. Go in the house. Gary Sinise was in the play, and he had a guy acting with him, a guy alongside of him, a guy who was Stanley Kowalski's best friend, and he was portrayed by, wait for it, John C. Reilly. And this is, like I said, this is like 1993. So, I mean, I did not know who John C. Reilly was at the time. I knew he was an actor. I knew I had seen him in Hoffa. I knew I had worked with him in Hoffa. Folks, I'm in Hoffa. Look closely. I'm in there, trust me. But John C. Reilly is also in it, and so I recognized him, and he was fucking fantastic in Streetcar, along with Gary Sinise. And again, at the time, I didn't know much about either of them. I didn't know who they were or what they were doing. Well, I knew Sinise, of course. I did not know John C. Reilly. But that's the kind of level of class I'm bringing to the table here. That's the culture I bring to you folks. Not only did I go see a production of Streetcar, and I feel very comfortable shortening the name because I am a theater person, if nothing else. I am a mercenary. I am someone who wants to see Mayim Bialik die from a great height. I am someone who does not suffer fools well. And I am, I forgot. I absolutely forgot. What was the fourth one? Wasn't there a fourth one earlier today? Jesus Christ, shut up. Do the show. And I am a student of the theater. I'm a theater person. Well, that's the new fourth one. The other fourth one got bumped. God, how did I not remember? See, if Lily was here with her legal pad, I totally remembered. Because that's what she does all show long. She just sits there with her glasses dangling out of her mouth, and she fucking takes notes. Like a fucking cartoon from the Playboy magazine of the 60s. John C. Reilly was there. So you know what that means, folks. You know what that means. Well, first of all, it means I saw Gary Sinise and John C. Reilly do Streetcar, but it also means I saw Dr. Steve Brule do Streetcar. And I can tell you this, he did it for his health. And he certainly did it for your health as well. But he did a great job. So that's the culture I'm bringing to the table. Again, remember I said earlier, that's not really a story, more of an anecdote? I think I somehow stretched it into a story of sorts. Somehow, instead of just going, hey, I saw Streetcar with Gary Sinise and John C. Reilly, somehow I got the United States into war with Chile. That's how I do things. I had listeners in town last week. I think I had mentioned that. I'll get to that as well in a second. But I wanted to talk about this. Jill even today was busting my balls. She wasn't busting my balls. She was just like, honey, first of all, she gave me a 1 for procrastination because she's like, dude, you totally could have done the show Sunday. You knew you were going to be on a plane. You could have done Monday morning. But here's the thing. I couldn't do those things because I was waiting for Monday night to do the show, specifically because I had something to do Monday night that I wanted to talk about on here. So I told her that. I don't think it bumped me up from a 1 for procrastination. I think I still got that. And by the way, 1 is low, in case you're wondering. We're not grading. It's not 1 is great and 5 is bad. No, 5 is best. We're on a kindergarten scale, a sliding kindergarten type scale. And I do not have any gold stars on me anywhere on my body. You would think that I would, but she's given me none. I have some bruises, certainly. She's given me those. I'm not going to go into that. All right, so Monday I had a task to perform. I had a thing to do, and I wanted to talk to you about it here on the podcast. A couple of months ago, I don't know if I talked about this on here. I mentioned it to somebody, and they said I did not, so I'm going to cover it. A few months ago, I had tickets. I was in my house. Let's put it this way. I didn't have tickets yet. I'm in my house. Let's start there. I'm in my house, and I happen to be off, and I'm normally never off when I'm home. I'm working doubles, and I'm certainly not at the computer. I'm at the gym, or I'm at work, or I'm sitting in my chair watching cupcake shows and about to fall asleep. And that's not even a lie. I cannot stop watching Cupcake Wars. I can't stop. Even though they all make the same things over and over, it is worth it to me to watch it just because these people are like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. In every show, there will be 2 bakers, or there's 4 bakers, but at least in every show there's a team of 2, and they will say, this is the hardest thing we have ever done. And I just think they should be sent to a Chinese sweatshop to build radios, because if that is the hardest thing you've ever done in your life is make cupcakes on television, are you fucking kidding me? The hardest thing you've ever done in your life is make cupcakes on television. Are you raising children by any chance? Is that a breeze? Is that a fucking snap? No, for you, making red velvets in front of a camera crew was more challenging than putting your son through college. Good for you. And I'm glad you've exposed yourself for the shallowness. You know what? You're as shallow as a cupcake tin itself, ma'am, if I may say that. You are a human cupcake tin with your shallowness. Monday, or it was a few months ago, I apologize. I'm sitting in my house. Monday, fucking idiot. And I just happened to check my email, and an email came in from Ticketmaster. I'm on Ticketmaster's mailing list. And it was like, bring. Foo Fighters show announced, it was a special show the Foo Fighters were doing for Dave Grohl's birthday in Los Angeles. And it was the date, and it said tickets go on sale today at 5 o'clock p.m. Now, it was only 4 o'clock p.m. I had an hour. And tickets were all $50 across the board. The best seats, the worst seats. The whole floor was general admission at the Forum. But then seats themselves, every ticket in the joint, every ticket in the venue, $50. Now, I don't do anything with my life. I should be doing a lot more stand-up. I should be going out more and doing those things. But I find myself, I've settled into this. I work doubles. I go to the gym. I watch cupcake shows. And I get to come and see my beautiful girlfriend. Or she comes and visits me. When she's in town, I do things. Or when I go see her, I do things. But, you know, I kind of like to use my money and save my money for that sort of thing because I want to see her. And so I don't mind flying to her and she flies to me and we go do things because, as you know, I feel that money comes and goes, but memories last forever. And also that's why I have no money. Yes, I understand that argument, but still, I got a head full of stuff that's worth so much more than cash. However, you cannot pay your rent with the anecdote about John C. Reilly and Gary Sinise in Streetcar. It's awesome to have seen them do it, but I can't exactly go to the guys who own my building and go, hey, guess what? Let me tell you, it's not really a story. It's more of an anecdote, but I can stretch it out to a story. But I do want to tell you this. It ends with the U.S. winning a war in South America. Are you interested in this? Will this cover my rent for March? They would say no. So I usually don't, I try not to spend a ton of dough because I'm going to go see Jill and you know, we go out, whatever. So, but I mean, you know, I love the Foo Fighters. And in my head, I actually went, you know what? The Foo Fighters, they do it right. They'll do concerts and they'll have bands join them on stage, like personnel. You know, if you go to YouTube, you can find tons of concerts where the Foo Fighters have been joining. I've seen the Foo Fighters myself like 3 times. And one time they were opening for the Police, so they didn't have anybody join them. But then another time, Stuart Copeland from the Police joined them on stage. This is a completely different show in a completely different venue. But they were touring, they had toured that summer with the Police. So then when they did their own solo tour, Stuart Copeland shows up at the Forum and they play I believe So Lonely and Murder by Numbers or Driven to Tears. I forget which one, but So Lonely for sure. And it was fucking fantastic because, you know, there's this vibe where they bring a guy out and he plays and the place goes crazy, and it's just neat to see that sort of, it's like a superhero crossover. It's like if you're watching a Batman movie and all of a sudden fucking Green Lantern walked in, you'd be like, what the fuck is he doing there? Like, I'll tell you what, I cannot wait for the Avengers movie because now that Marvel has Spider-Man, you know he's in it. You know he's going to be in it. I don't give a fuck if they got the contract 3 months ago where Marvel got the rights back from Sony to use Spider-Man or reach the agreement to where they can both use him or whatever. I don't give a fuck if they get the contract today. I don't care if they got permission the morning the Avengers is supposed to open at its premiere. I guarantee you they will find some way to get Spider-Man in the movie. He's going to be the Easter egg at the end. That's my feeling. I don't think he's going to swing in and be in the fight with Ultron, but I can, in my opinion, I think Spider-Man is absolutely going to be the Easter egg at the end of fucking Avengers. It's going to be, and the place will go bananas. And I should tell you this too. This dovetails in nicely with my Foo Fighters anecdote / story. I was sitting at my computer before work, after the gym, and I had about a half hour to kill, and I looked at the computer, and it said, the ArcLight released a thing that said, Avengers tickets on sale now. So I went and looked, and they had like 8 shows for the first night, and they're all in different theaters, but the first showing in the Dome was at 11 o'clock p.m., and I immediately swooped in, and I got 2 great tickets. I had my tickets to see the Avengers 3 weeks ago. And I cannot wait because again, you know, I'm going to see it anyway, but to see it at midnight in 3D in the ArcLight, because I mean, I've talked about this on the show before. I went and saw the first Iron Man there, and Robert Downey Jr. showed up. And then I saw the first Spider-Man there, and Tobey Maguire showed up. And it's just fucking great. Everybody's in costume. They have a great time. There's a cool vibe. And did I talk about this on here? Holy shit, I might have. God, see, this is the problem when you're recording by yourself with a phone. Because now that I think about it, did I talk about the Black Widow outfit? I told Jill I was going to dress her up, and she's like, dress me up, let's do it. Now it dawns on me I probably did talk about it. I'm an old man. I'm a doddering old fool who's fucking repeating himself. Now I'm worried about this Foo Fighters thing. Did I fucking talk about it? Jesus Christ, I might have. Fuck. Do we press on? I guess we do. Oh, now I'm worried. Oh, God damn it. See, this is the hazards of recording on a phone in a living room. Not in a living room, in a kitchen. And also, I want to say this, too. You may notice that I'm able to record at Jill's house. And my co-star, podcasting's favorite dog, the lovely Tawny, is not being involved in the recording right now. She's not barking. She's not present, making her presence felt. Well, she's present, but she's not making her presence felt, and here's why. Unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago, we lost our friend Tawny. Jill had her for 14 years, I believe. 13 years, 14 years. And Tawny was, 19 years old, which, from what I understand, in dog years is 143. If I did the math on that correctly, I may not have. But she was an older dog, certainly, and she might not have been 19, she might have been 15. Regardless, Jill had her as a rescue for most of her life, and she had 2 litters, and she's in 3 different residences, and she'd been with her almost as long as her youngest son, and it was tremendously sad, and I was so disappointed that I couldn't be here for it that day. It was very hard for Jill, and for her sons, and for me, because if you've listened to this podcast, you know I'm a mercenary. You know I want to see Mayim Bialik die from a great height. You know I don't suffer fools very well. That's the 3 that I got for you. The other 2 are all in play. But you also know that I've always been kind of ambivalent about dogs. I had a dog when I was a kid, a poodle named Precious, and when we had to get rid of her, we cried for weeks. That seems strong. Days, also strong. Hours. But I was very attached to Precious the poodle, not unlike Jamie Gum. And then we had a dog named Rocky. Now, look, I didn't give a fuck about Rocky. He was terrible by year 2 or year 3, and I tell you all about Rocky. But then we had to get rid of him, and when we got rid of him, my mom did not give him away to anybody. My mom let him go in a field. Like, we just pulled up, and we were just like, all right, Rocky, out. And there was sad music playing, and then he jumped out, and he ran into the field as if we were all going to get out and play with him, and he disappeared into the distance, and we drove off. And that hit me really fucking hard, too. Like, I cried. Even though I hated Rocky as a dog, he did terrible things in my house. And I was glad to be rid of him. But the way it was done, it was just so weird and impersonal and strange, especially for a child. I hated it. But I let that affect me going forward. And so dogs, to me, I'm kind of ambivalent. Whatever. I don't really care. I don't like dog spit. Like, I like cats because they're kind of clean and they take care of themselves and they're kind of mean to you, which is fine with me. But dogs are kind of sloppy and they lick you. And I guess, I don't know, you're supposed to like that. But dog spit to me is kind of, and you're washing your hands all the fucking time and I got to walk around with a can of fucking Purell. Is that a shampoo or a hand sanitizer? Prel is the shampoo. Hand sanitizer is Purell, right? I hope. Good God. That's how I felt about dogs. But then when I would come here and stay at Jill's place, it would oftentimes be me and Tawny alone. Sometimes I'd record the show. Sometimes I'd just be here alone because Jill would have to go to work. I'd take her to work. I'd come back. I'd feed Tawny. I'd let her out. And she would bark and she would jump on me and she would lay next to me. And even in our bed, she would climb in. And, when I would take Jill to work, I would come home and I would go back to bed and I would climb in. And Tawny would either get in Jill's spot or she would lay right behind me with her back pressed up against my back. And it's because she missed her mom too, and she was also being nice. I felt that she was kind of protecting me because she would go bananas whenever a mailman would show up or anybody. And so I kind of started to come around on dogs. And by kind of, I mean in a big way, I did. By the time I had been coming here and spending time and Tawny was recognizing me, and she used to guard me in the shower. Like, I would go in and take a shower. She tried to jump in the shower with me a couple of times. But I would go in the shower and I would peek out of the curtain and she would just be sitting right there on the bathroom floor looking at the front door, making sure nobody came in, protecting me and making sure I was safe. And Jill would say, she doesn't even do that for me. And part of me is like, well, yeah, because I'm awesome. But then also part of me is, well, she knows that you're fucking tough, and anybody who breaks in here, you'll kick the shit out of them. She knows that I'm not. I need protection. She knows you're a little badass, and you'll take care of business. But I came around on Tawny, and I came around on dogs in the larger picture, but really on Tawny. And when I left her the last time and I saw her, I said goodbye to her, and I knew that she'd been having problems because the vet had given Jill a diagnosis months ago, and Jill was kind of holding out hope that she'd get better, and it turned out that she wasn't, and so they had to make the difficult decision where they had to actually put Tawny down. And Jill mentioned when she was going to be doing it. I wasn't going to be here, and I was saddened by that. I wish I could have been here for my girlfriend and her sons, and also for Tawny to say goodbye one last time. But I was happy that I had been able to say goodbye to her when I left the previous time, because I never knew when she was going to be claimed, when the illness would catch up with her, and it's weird with the travel schedule. So it made me tremendously sad. Like the last day, Jill sent me video of Tawny, and Tawny was sick on the inside, but on the outside she was fine. She was still a smiley dog. She jumped up and down, she licked you, she wanted to eat all day fucking long, and she barked like you heard. But on the outside she was fine, even though on the inside she was dying. And it was really hard to reconcile the videos and the pictures that Jill sent me the last day. She took her for a ride, she took her to the beach and let her run around without her leash, and all those things just before you say goodbye. And oh my God, I wanted to be here for it with Jill, and I couldn't be. And I'm just glad she had her sons with her and stuff, because it was a very difficult thing to get through and a very tough time. But she showed me the videos, and like she took Tawny to get a burger at a bar called The Hutch, and Tawny ate that. She gave Tawny some of her leftover sushi. And look, all of her final memories involved food. There's no doubt about that, because that's what Tawny wanted more than anything. And then she took Tawny to Cherryberry for yogurt. But my favorite part of it is she took a photo from Cherryberry. She's actually inside Cherryberry, and Tawny's in the car. And she sent me a photo, and she said, Tawny can't wait for her treat. And it's Jill's empty car. There's nobody in the driver's seat, but Tawny is just sitting in the passenger seat like a person, just like sitting kind of up with her feet in front of her and just smiling. Just a huge face and a tongue out, and just like, yeah, we're here to get yogurt. That dog thing that I never cared about, that dog thing that I never recognized, that dog thing that I never felt any connection to, and I didn't think was that special, all of a sudden meant everything to me. Where you see them being happy no matter what they're doing. She filmed her putting her head out the window the last day, and she filmed her smiling, waiting for yogurt, and she filmed her eating her sushi and rolling around and getting petted, and it was so terrible, because I can't even imagine how hard it was for Jill to say goodbye to someone who had been in her life for so long. She had rescued her, and the day she rescued her, she said that she looked at Tawny, and Tawny looked right at her and walked right up to her, and she was like, that's it, she's the one, and took her and brought her home and had her forever. And so I finally got it, especially in that last day when I'm getting all the pictures and seeing it. I went, oh, she doesn't know what's going to happen, but although, she knows that she's sick and she knows that she doesn't feel well, but she's enjoying herself. She's enjoying her day. She's enjoying life. And she's being happy. And to me, that's really all there is anymore. Just be happy, right? Just move forward and be fucking happy. And I know I repeat this like some weird mantra because I keep saying it to myself over and over. And I'm always like, how hard is it to be happy? How difficult is it to be happy? But there are obstacles inside our own heads and in our own lives, and we kind of get in our own way sometimes, and we keep ourselves from happiness. But really, if you just fucking settle down, just realize that eventually you're going to get Cherryberry. There's no reason to be upset. You can be in an argument, things can be tough at work, things can be bad all over. You get in your car and you drive, and eventually you're going to get a Hutch burger. Things are going to be okay. So, I don't know. It was weird for her to be gone, and it's weird for me to be here in the house. This is my first trip without her. And we walked in, and it was quiet. It's pin drop quiet in the house. Because, Jill's son is out of town. He's on a trip, and Tawny is gone, so it's Jill and I just have the house. So, you walk in and you immediately take off all your clothes because no one's going to bother you, which is great. Not that when Tawny was here, I didn't do the same thing. But the point is, it's just really weird and odd. It's an odd atmosphere, and it's quiet, and Jill is still having a hard time dealing with it, but she's doing the best that she can. And, it's those things where I see a picture on my phone, or you see Tawny's dish, or the other day she found Tawny's collar in her car, and you'll always have those echoes, and you'll always have those reminders. But the important thing is to realize that while she was here, you were good for her and good to her, and she loved you very much. And that's all you can do for a pet. And that's really all a pet can do for you. Unless your name is Willard and you have an army of killer rats at your disposal. Oh, Ben, the two of us need look no more. All right, so that is, that's a reference for nobody. Now that I think about it, Jesus Christ. If you're 35 or younger, you have no idea what I just said. That just sounded like a fucking bunch of gobbledygook that came flying out of my mouth, which honestly could be said about the rest of the goddamn show. But yeah, go ahead, go Google Willard, Rats, and Ben. And when you do, by the way, realize that was the law firm that represented me in my divorce, and they did a fantastic job. Willard, Rats, and Ben. They came highly recommended. I would actually throw myself into their corner as well. If you need them, call them. First, Google them and find out exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Now I'm gonna just tell you the Foo Fighters thing. Christ, I hope I didn't fucking talk about it before. So I'm at my computer, and the Foo Fighters. It comes up in my email. It's like, hey, dude. Because my email is very informal, and it said, Foo Fighters tickets for Dave's birthday show go on sale at 5. Well, it was 4 o'clock. So I'm in my house. I'm like, dude, I got to get these tickets. And then I immediately texted Pat, and Pat's like, no, because he's seen Foo Fighters a million times, and I guess he was out for some weird reason, because, why would he go to a concert with me, his friend? And then he was like, his friend, his nephew Kyle might want to go. And I was like, well, I'm gonna, I like Kyle a lot. Certainly he's a nice kid, but maybe I'll try to find a friend of mine who I know to go. And I should have called a few people, but instead I kind of said, you know what, fuck it. I'm just gonna get one ticket. Why do I have to go and try to chase people down? And also, all my friends are successful comedians. They're on the road and they're doing, podcast movies, and they're taking care of business. And if I call to bother them, they're gonna be like, I don't know who this is anymore. And I'll say, hey, it's me, the guy who brought you coleslaw. And they go, I remember you. And then I'll say, thank you, Sebastian Bach. So Pat was out, and he recommended Kyle, and I said, maybe. But then I said, you know what, let me just try to get myself a ticket. And I wound up waiting until 5 o'clock. And you know how it is with Ticketmaster. It's a fucking race against time. The pit and the pendulum. Check the rhythm and rhymes that I'm sending them. Oops, bending them. Damn it, bending them. Fuck. So ASCAP audits it. Maybe that's what I do. I change one word in every lyric, so I go ahead and save myself. I'm at my computer, 5 o'clock comes, I sign in, I buy one ticket, and I get like second row loge down off the floor. $50, of course, with fees and all that bullshit. I think it came out to $1,000, thanks to Ticketmaster. But I was excited. The show was in the round, and I saw where I was and where the stage was. I was excited to see the show. And, the Foo Fighters sometimes have a special guest, so that would have been neat to see. But I was really, I just wanted to see the Foo Fighters. Because I will tell you this, part of me was like, I even said to someone, that day, well, I'll tell you that in a second. So time goes by, it's only 2 weeks, and it was a Saturday night. And I took it off work to make sure I could go. And then I was going to go. And Saturday came, and I was working in the daytime. I had to work a morning shift, and I was supposed to get off at like 4, and then I was going to roll over to the Forum. And then I started to be 50. You know what I mean by that? I started to be 50 years old in that I started to go, well, I'm not really going with anybody. I'm going to go to the Forum by myself. And I'm going to have to pay to park, and that's another $20. Then I'm going to go in and see the show, and it's going to be great. The show's great, but I don't like any of the hassle around the show. I like the show itself. You know what I am? I'm Greg Barron's bit come to life, where he's like, no opening band ever for a concert. The guy band comes on at 7:30 and they're done by 9:10, and he's home paying the babysitter by 10 o'clock or whatever the fuck it is. It's like, yeah, I'm old, man. That's exactly how I feel about things now. All of the hassle, all of the roundabout nonsense. Like, getting those Foo Fighters tickets was kind of a surprise. If I had had to go and fight people and wait out for them, I never would have done it, because I'm over that now. It's stupid. I shouldn't be over that. I'm half a child anyway, so I should be up for that sort of thing. But there's always that part of me, that 50-year-old man in me, that 60-year-old man in me who's like, fuck it. So he took over on that Saturday. And I've talked about this phenomenon before on this show, when I had tickets to see Guns N' Roses, and Pat bailed on me. And he's like, I'm not going to go. And I'm like, what? So I was alone, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to go. And then, fuck it. I wound up saying, you know what? The hell with this. It's Guns N' Roses, man. 21-year-old you would beat the fuck out of you for saying you weren't going to go. So I went. And if you recall, I wound up moshing and smashing a guy down a bunch of stairs. So it was a victory. And then a guy punched me in the chest. It was fantastic. It was a great show. I'm so happy I went.
And in my head, I said, you know what? Go to the Foo Fighters. Maybe you'll get punched in the chest. Maybe it'll happen again. Dreams do come true. So I decided to get the ticket. But then that Saturday, man, it started to creep in where I'm like, I got to go alone and I got to park and I got to do this. And you know, money's always an issue with me. Like I said, I don't do much. I travel to see Jill, and when I'm with her, we do things. But I try to conserve as much money as I possibly can. And also because, you know, the fucking wolves are at the door, man. I got a lot of lawyer talk going on, and I got a lot of other stuff I got to declare and the stuff I got to decline, and I'm behind on some things that I shouldn't be behind on. It's a mess. So in my head, I started to let that take over, and I'm like, you know, dude, you can just sell your fucking ticket for face value. I mean, you can find somebody to do it. And that creeped into my logic, and I started to do that in the middle of the afternoon of the fucking Foo Fighter show. I sent out a text to Pat, and Pat's like, well, you know, Kyle's not in, and I'm not in, and he goes, you know what, I know Siegel and Murray are going, our friend Murray Valeriano. So I texted them, and I'm like, hey, do you guys know of anybody else who wants to go? They text me back, they're like, hey, Graham wants to go. And that's my friend Graham Elwood. So I texted Graham, I go, hey, dude, I have a ticket if you want it, it's just one. And Graham, it's so funny, he should be my role model because Graham is a guy who does things alone. He'll go alone to the movies, or he'll go alone and do all these different things, and he embraces it. He palm strikes it is what he does. He palm strikes life. Graham Elwood palm strikes life. Whereas I hide under the coats and let life go by sometimes. Every 2 weeks when I'm with Jill, I certainly palm strike life. We embrace it together. We throw on our gis and we tackle the world. But when we're separate, I wind up working and then hiding under the coats and watching cupcakes. So I called Graham, I texted him, and he's like, yeah, I'm in. I said, well, I have like an electronic ticket. So I don't know how that works. So I read it, and it said I could not transfer my electronic ticket. I had to talk to the people at Ticketmaster. Well, here's what I did. I took a screenshot of my electronic ticket, and I texted that to Graham. I go, here, take this just in case. But I go, I'll call Ticketmaster and see if they can put your name on it instead, and you can pick it up at the will call. He said, great. I get Ticketmaster on the phone. They tell me they can't help me. I said, well, no, don't you understand? I bought the ticket. Here's the name. Here's the credit card number. You can find it. She goes, yeah, I find it. It's right here. It's under, you know, Michael Glenn Schmidt. And I said, yes. She goes, I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do to transfer it. The show starts in like 2 hours. I go, well, just let the will call office know that Graham Elwood will be picking up a ticket. How hard is that? And just make it my ticket. And they said, I'm sorry, sir. We can't help you. I said, dude, what are you talking? I don't understand this. Why can't you help me? I bought the ticket. They go, yes, so you have to use it. I said, well, no, I don't. There's nothing that says I have to use it. And I've sold it for face value to a friend. They said, all right, well, what we'll do is we'll put his name at will call, and he'll get a ticket, but he might not get your ticket, but we can get him into the venue. And at that point, I mean, that's all I could do, I suppose. And I'm working still. I'm driving around, fucking delivering food and trying to hassle these motherfuckers on my Bluetooth. And finally I just went, okay, whatever. I texted Graham, and I'm like, dude, you know what, here's the deal. If you give my name at will call and your name, supposedly they have a ticket. It might be the same ticket, it might not. But why don't you try to use the screenshot to get in? They assured me that that would not work, but I have no idea why it wouldn't work. It's the exact same fucking encoding. I just made up a word, encodement. So go ahead and do that. And Graham's like, I'm in. Perfect. So, and I should tell you this. The only reason I did that was because work asked me if I would work that night. If they didn't need me, I would have just gone to the fucking show. But they were like, hey, dude, do you want to take a shift tonight? Because we're going to be hammered. And I was like, you know what? I can get my $50 back, and I can make another 100 or whatever the fuck happens if we get killed. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. And that's when I said about calling Pat and Murray and everybody, and I got Graham's ticket. So I'm driving that night, and I'm delivering. And I start going on Twitter and checking, just Twitter as I do. I'll check Facebook, I check Twitter. And the Foo Fighters are trending on Twitter. And I'm like, all right, well, they probably told people to hashtag the show or whatever. I fucking hit it, and there's already a link. Dudes. I said to myself, you know, I really want to go to this show. Sometimes they have special guests. But then the old man in me went, you know what, dude? It's going to be a hassle. You don't want to park. And it's Dave's birthday show, and it's their first North American show and their last one for like 5 months before they come back from Europe. It's a special show. You should go. Nah, you know what? I need the money. Go ahead and take the money. And then there's another guy in me, and he said, you know what? Money comes and goes, but memories last forever. I said, yeah, well, you know what? I'll see him this summer. I'll make up for it. I'll go see him in Wrigley Field in Chicago, and that'll be just as big a show. I go to Twitter,
And like the first tweet I read, it's like, OMG, Foo Fighters open concert in style. Kiss. And I was like, what? I figured the Foo Fighters opened with a Kiss song, which, they do cover tunes. They have a great version of Darling Nikki that they've done. They did a version of Baker Street. Foo Fighters are a fun band. In my opinion, you might not like them. I know a lot of people are like, fuck them, they're terrible, they're not rock, and I don't believe you or understand you, and I don't know why you're such a snob. If you don't like them, that's okay, but I hate people who are like, Dave Grohl's a sellout, and oh my God, shut the fuck up. And it's funny, that day I actually texted Pat and I texted Graham. I said, dude, if Rick Springfield shows up at this show, I'm going to be fucking furious. I told Jill the same thing because they had done the Sound City documentary and Rick Springfield was in an episode, and then he recorded a song for the album, and then at the House of Blues, the Foo Fighters did a show and fucking Rick Springfield joined them on stage. So in my head, that was my great fear, was that Rick Springfield would join them at the Forum. Well, a little different than Rick Springfield showing up at the Forum. The Foo Fighters opened the show, and I saw it on YouTube later, but I'll tell you, I saw it on Twitter, and I saw the clip. And Dave Grohl comes out, and he's like, ladies and gentlemen, Paul Stanley. People! Now, he didn't say that. I'm just saying that in case you don't know who Paul Stanley is. He's the guy who says, people! He's one of the lead singers of Kiss, and my favorite member of Kiss, if that matters to anyone. And he comes out to join them, and they open their show with fucking Detroit Rock City by Kiss off Destroyer with Paul Stanley on lead vocals. And when they finish that, they go right into Do You Love Me? Paul Stanley on lead vocals off Destroyer again, a song I love so much it was in all of the pre-show music for the Big Angry Tour. Dudes, this is the opening of the show. I sold this ticket for face value. Grandma doesn't even know who Paul Stanley is. That's a lie, he does. But so what? I worship Paul Stanley. So I follow along on Twitter as the night goes on, and they're joined on stage by Slash of Guns N' Roses, another band that I fucking love. They're joined on stage by Tenacious D, and they do a bunch of Led Zeppelin and Queen songs. Oh my Christ. They're joined on stage by like Tony Hawk and some famous marimba player. And I quite frankly don't give a fuck about that. They're joined on stage by Alice Cooper, who comes out and does like No More Mr. Nice Guy and School's Out. I'm seeing this on Twitter as I'm driving and delivering people their cold sodas and their fucking hot ribs, and I'm just like, what is wrong with you? You 50-year-old fucking man, you gave your ticket away for this just to what? To make some money? To make some money? Money comes and goes, but memories last fucking forever. You've lived by this philosophy. Granted, again, it's why you don't have any money, but still. Paul Stanley / Tenacious D, Alice Cooper, they bring out Lemmy from Motorhead, because he was in Probot with Dave Grohl and some of the guys from Sepultura, and Lemmy comes out, and I'm like, dudes, and I'm twittering it to people. I'm just like, I don't believe this is happening. I even put on Facebook, I go, I don't know why I did this. Why did I sell my ticket? I revealed myself for the idiot that I am, and my friends all jumped in to chime in and make fun of me. But then someone tweets a picture of the set list. And I texted Pat, and I go, I just saw the set list for the Foo Fighters show. Have you heard about the special guests? He goes, no. And I tell him who was there, and he's like, oh my God. I go, dude, if the final special guest of the evening, according to the set list, actually shows up, there's a good chance I'm going to hang myself tonight. And sure enough, Siegel is twittering me who's showing up and who's not showing up. And Siegel twitters me, and I said, hey, or he texts me, I apologize, and I said, hey, I go, I just saw the set list, and if the last guy is true, I'm going to be dead and will not be able to read your final text. And he just writes me back, and he goes, David Lee Roth taking the stage. Sorry, man. He felt he had to apologize to me for himself and the Foo Fighters for enjoying that moment without me. Dudes, they bookended the show with Paul Stanley, who was the guy I wanted to be growing up in music, and then David Lee Roth, the guy I wanted to be as I got older and in my teen years. I mean, it's just, David Lee Roth comes out, and he sings Panama and Ain't Talking About Love with the Foo Fighters backing him up. And he owns the joint. He fucking struts around because he's Dave. And let's face it, I'll talk about this in just a second, but you can make fun of him, you don't like him or whatever and all that stuff. He's still Dave. He's always Dave. He's always interesting. And he's singing and he's strutting around and he's chewing gum. He's furiously chewing gum. And I will say this, go find the clips because they're on YouTube. There are clips of the Foo Fighters with David Lee Roth. And when I watched them, I watched him doing his thing. First of all, he had shaved his head completely bald. Second of all, he shaved his chest. And he's been spending a ton of time in Japan. Dudes, David Lee Roth he's got a tattoo vest. You know what that means? Like a Yakuza tattoo where they get them all done on the sleeves and they all mean something on the arms. Dude, he's got them from his shoulders to his waist on his right and left side of his body. He's got Japanese-style multi-image tattoos. So his chest is now just like a bare racing stripe in between ink. Bald head, newsy cap, fucking crazy tattoos, and he's furiously chewing gum and dancing around in a way, because he's always been kind of a goof, but he's really letting himself go now into goofy territory. And when I watched the clip, I even said to myself, well, you know why he's chewing that gum so much? Is so it keeps his mouth from saying, I'm gay. Like, you could he just pings so gay in the clips with the Foo Fighters where you're just like, he wants to come out. It's like he just wants to come out, but he's going to let his actions speak louder than his words, and he's going to chew gum to make sure he doesn't say the wrong thing. I mean, that's what it struck me. Because, I mean, honestly, it's like that's him in the corner. That's him in the spotlight, losing his religion. Because, that song is about Michael Stipe supposedly coming out of the closet. Well, Dave's going to write one, too, or just sing that one. Because, I mean, he pinged so gay in those two clips. Am I saying he is? I don't know. But in those clips, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's awesome. But dude, but the bottom line is, Paul Stanley and David Lee Roth bookend a Foo Fighters show. They play 3 hours. I sold my ticket for face value to deliver more ribs. And I was furious at myself. And I go, you know what? Never again. Fucking never again. That's not happening. If you have a chance to do something special, you do it. Money comes and goes. Memories last forever. And this brings us to Monday, or rather a week before Monday, when it was announced that here in Los Angeles, Jimmy Kimmel Live had booked Van Halen to play the show, and it would be the first ever North American television appearance of the band in this incarnation, with Wolfie on bass and Dave on vocals, and they're releasing a double live album. It's a concert from Tokyo. A couple of weeks ago, they announced that they were releasing it, and this whole thing came out of nowhere. The tour, the album, and it's really kind of caught Van Halen fans by surprise because, there's people out there who nitpick, and they're furious, and they want Eddie to make new music all the goddamn time. And you know what? Maybe Eddie just wants to go out and play guitar with his kid. And so if he tours with the fucking catalog that he's already written and goes out and does great shows, then go see him and support him. And if you don't like that, don't go. I'll get into that a little later. But they announced that I'll tell you this, they announced the show. The first thing they announced was that Van Halen had a double live album coming out. And that was interesting to me because they've never put out a live album with Dave. Everybody clamors for the 1981 Oakland show. From the Fair Warning tour because that's what the live videos are from, and they're fucking phenomenal, and they sound good, and Dave sounds amazing. He looks amazing. That's peak Van Halen. Fair Warning tour, 81. I know they hit it bigger with 84 and made Panama and all that stuff, but for me, Fair Warning, favorite album of all time, best incarnation of the band because fucking Eddie was furious. And Dave looked better than he'd ever fucking looked. His hair was still getting a little ratty. It's so terrible. Maybe I should start chewing some fucking gum. But Dave looked better on the 81 Fair Warning tour than he's ever looked. He looked amazing. So, they announced the live album is coming out. Then they announced that they're doing Ellen on Thursday, April 2nd, which I will tell you, if you're hearing this today, this is today. This is being released on Wednesday night late, Thursday morning early. So if you can tape Ellen today, check him out to see Dave doing his Dave stuff and Eddie fucking shredding. So it was announced, first of all, they'd be doing Ellen, and I knew I would be here with Jill, so I'm obviously never going to get to see that. That's fine. Although I should go to a taping of Ellen just to dance, right? I should just get in there and dance. I should dance like nobody's watching. And honestly, with Ellen's show, Well, no, that's not fair. Her ratings are good. I can't even make the fucking joke I wanted to make. So they announced that. They announced the live album's coming out, and I texted, I saw the announcement of the live album, and they put out 2 YouTube videos that weren't videos of the band, but they were the audio tracks of Panama and Ain't Talking About Love, and I think Running with the Devil. This happened while I was at work. I mean, it came out on Twitter. It was the Van Halen News Desk announced it. Yes, there's a Van Halen News Desk. You know who works there? Bill O.I. I couldn't even say it. Bill O. O'Reilly got me. He works at the Van Halen News Desk. I love me. Bill O. You really got me. You Riley got me. Damn it. So they have a Van Halen News Desk. They got their tweet, and they were all talking about Dave. So I went and looked, and they had the clips. And I talked a little bit about their last tour. The tour in 2007 was different. The band sounded really good, but Dave also sounded really good. Well, the last tour, Eddie's never sounded better. He was just fucking phenomenal. Wolfie was great. He was in the pocket with Alex. The band was tight. But as you know, I had some issues with Dave. Mainly that he was acting like a Borscht Belt comedian and not like a rock star frontman. And that's fine. It's not what I want out of him, but that's what he does. That's what he brings to the table. And I will say, verbally still, for me, one of the reasons I talk for a living. David Lee Roth, professional wrestlers like Ric Flair, Mick Foley. These were guys that influenced me growing up, and the way they used language, George Carlin. They were guys who made me want to talk for a living in an interesting way. And Dave was one of them. So when he does that, I'm on board. I'm okay with it. It's just when he mugs and dances and acts the goof that it kind of throws me off a little bit. And that's why when I saw the Foo Fighters show and he came out in, kind of a newsy cap and the tattoos and stuff, I was like, boy, this is a change, man. He's doing everything he can to signal that he's a different guy and he's got different stuff going on. Because, I mean, again, if you look at the 81 Fair Warning tour, he's wearing fucking spandex and torn t-shirts, like tank tops, and the fucking hair is flowing. And now he shaves the head and gets the full body tattoos. It's just like, And again, I'll talk about it in a second. I can't get off on the tangent now. So I'm like, well, I wanted to see them at Ellen, but I can't. But then I go and I listen to the clips because they have the clip for Panama and the clip for Running with the Devil and the clip for Ain't Talking About Love. And I clicked on Panama first. And the band starts playing and it's good and it sounds okay. And the band, the crowd is cheering. And then you hear Dave start yelling. Not singing, he's yelling in the beginning. And then he's like, get up, come on, whatever, all that fucking exhorting thing. And then the first lines are, jump back, what's that sound? Here she comes, full blast and top down. Okay? I can't tell you. I mean, he just starts screeching. Like, it sounds like the band is really tight and they've hired a broken radiator to be their lead singer because it's just this high-pitched. It's literally he starts singing it. Instead of thinking Panama, I'm thinking, well, tea's done. Let's go ahead and pour ourselves a cup because it's this. When he pushes his register, it's so bad. He tries and tries, and he's trying so hard in Panama. I got to the chorus, the first Panama, and I went, I'm out. I stopped it, and I texted it to Pat, and I just went, oh no, how the fuck are they releasing this? Like because it's that bad for me. And I sent it to my brother Lenny. He was on a fucking boat in Australia, and I still sent it to him. I didn't care. Because I sold him into slavery. That's why he's on a boat in Australia. I figured that needed an explanation. So Pat writes me, and he's like, I don't know how they're releasing this. I can't. He even listened a little longer than me, and he listened to another clip, and he's like, I don't get it. And the only thing I could think, and this sounded weird, because this is before they announced the world tour and before they announced the Ellen thing. They announced the album. And there are all these stories where, Eddie just did a thing at the Smithsonian and he sat down and he talked and they asked him about Dave and he was really non-committal about Dave. He wasn't really giving any sort of details or any revelations. And in my mind, I was like, well, maybe this live album is the blow-off. In wrestling terms, the blow-off means the final match where they end a feud and everybody moves on. Well, I wondered if this was the blow-off, like it was their way of saying, look, this is what this guy sounds like live, and we don't want to work with that anymore. It seemed like a weird way to do it. They could just part ways with him. They've done it before. But, I mean, that's how bad it sounds, that I had to speculate that maybe This was all done to engineer a campaign of shame to get him out of the band so they could hire a singer that they wanted to have. I couldn't, and it's so weird. That's a weird conspiracy theory. And it's even weirder that I would go that deep on a Van Halen conspiracy theory. And it's even more strange when you consider the fact that, nobody's asked my opinion at all as I'm driving around delivering soda to people. But maybe that's what lent itself to me coming up with this, because I'm driving in the fucking car and all I got to do all day is think about Van Halen conspiracy theories and wonder why they're putting out the album where their fucking legendary lead singer sounds like somebody hit him in the stomach with a sledgehammer. So I listened to the clip. I didn't care for it. And I even went, you know what? I can't buy that album. I can't. And that's something for me because it's got Women in Love. It's got Hear About It Later. These are songs that are deep album cuts and Hear About It Later is my favorite Van Halen song of all time. But I don't know if I want to hear him destroy it on this live album. When they did it live and I saw them, I loved it and it was great. But he gets in trouble when he pushes his register. If he sings low, he's fine. He's good even. And then he can work that in with his shtick, but when he tries to get high and start yelling, it's just like, ooh, Dave, no. Come on, Dave, give me a break. So they announced the Ellen Show, they announced the album, and then they announce that they're shutting down Jimmy Kimmel, or they're going to be on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and they're shutting down Hollywood Boulevard, and they're going on a world tour. Well, look, I can be griping about Dave all I want. I can think this is a mistake to put out the live album, but the second they announced tour dates, I called Jill immediately, and I'm like, all right, they're here in L.A. And she's like, who? I go, Los Angeles. She's like, what? I go, Van Halen. They're here in Los Angeles because I just had to get it out. They're at the Hollywood Bowl on October 2nd, but we're supposed to be on a trip somewhere on October 2nd. So maybe you can come out here for that, but maybe we can actually go to San Diego earlier in the week, or maybe we can go to Irvine in June. And she's like, honey, okay, all of it is fine. And I'm like, well, no, listen, you don't understand. Van Halen's going on the road, and I need to bring you. You have to go because we didn't get to go when we were in high school, and I wanted to go with you then, and I'm missing all of the times that I should have spent with you when we were younger, and I want to make up for it now. And she's like, honey, I love you. Let's go. We'll have fun. You pick a date. It's fine. Tell me when we're going. So I think we're going to see him in San Diego because I can't see him in Hollywood because I'm in Vegas that weekend. So I call her and she's on board, which is fine with me. And then I tell her that they're shutting down Hollywood Boulevard for Jimmy Kimmel. What I wanted to do was have her come out for that. But she couldn't, obviously, because she's here and has a life and moving parts and she can't just pick up and bail. So but I knew I was going. So I found out you needed tickets. Because again, you know why I'm going? Because I can't miss special stuff. They're shutting down Hollywood Boulevard for the conquering heroes of Van Halen who used to play the strip at Gazzari's, okay? They'd play for 10 people, then they started playing for 500 people, and then they started playing fucking stadiums around the world. And these motherfuckers are coming back and shutting down Hollywood Boulevard. Dude, just for the story alone, or, for them, it's brilliant. You have to be there for that moment in their career. As a lifelong fan, and they're my favorite band, I want to be there to see them celebrate that moment. They've had big moments in their career, but that's got to be a gigantic moment. Regardless of the television and all that, you're shutting down Hollywood Boulevard and you're coming in, and I couldn't even imagine what kind of a zoo it was going to be. And I said to myself, well, I have to go. I have to go. So I asked Pat if he wanted to go, and he said he could not because he had friends in town. So I was just going alone. I figured, fuck it. I'm going, period. It doesn't matter. So I found out I had to get tickets. So that was a lucky break because I would have just fucking shown up. But I went ahead and I signed up for this thing, and they made me get tickets, and I had to give my name. And then it turned out Pat wanted to go with me. He said, I'm in. And I said, great. So I added him as my plus one. And the way it worked, it said that the band was, the show was you had to get there at 3:30 on Monday afternoon. And then the band would take the stage at dusk. And the whole thing was done at 8:15. And when you tell me I'm going to go see Van Halen on Hollywood Boulevard, I am in. I am fucking all for it. I am excited. When you tell me that I have to go to Hollywood Boulevard at 3:30 and stand there until 8:30, I'm not nearly as enthused. 50-year-old me takes over and he starts going, well, maybe it's not a good idea and it's going to be a weird crowd and you're going to be standing down there. And dude, I got to fight that guy. I got to find him and drive a fucking stake in his heart and hang garlic over my neck so he never shows the fuck back up again because 50-year-old me is my enemy. 50-year-old me is the worst. 50-year-old me is not a guy that I want to run into ever again. He always shows up and tries to convince me not to do cool things. And the time I let him convince me not to do a cool thing, it was the coolest thing of all time. So I fight this battle in my head, and I keep telling Pat, I go, the thing is, all the hassle is what drives me crazy. Like, if I could just go there, see the band, and come home, that'd be perfect. And that just gets to me as who I am as a guy. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to show my work. With algebra, hey man, x equals 8, and here's why. Because 8 goes there. That's it, the end. You don't need to write out fucking 18 steps. I have no patience for it. Just so I want to show up, I want to see the band. You know what I want to do? I want to skydive. I want me, Matt LeBlanc, and fucking Mayan Bialik to go in a plane over the show, parachute in, watch it, and then get scooped up by a zip line and take it home. That's all I want, right? Is that too much to ask for? I don't think it is. I just want me, LeBlanc, and Bialik in a parachute zip line situation where we see Van Halen hassle-free. Pat says he's going to go. I'm like, I don't know what time I want to go. They said it starts at dusk. Maybe we get there at 5. Maybe we get there here. And it says they get there at 3:30. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, dude, I'm just going to get there on time. I'm going to get there on time. So Saturday, we talked, and then I told my work Monday, or I told them before Monday, I said, I can't work Monday night. And they said, great. They didn't say great. They were not happy about it. But I mean, I worked Monday for lunch, and that was good. I left. I went home really quick, and then I busted out. And I went down to Hollywood Boulevard at 3 o'clock. Now, I had an advantage. I didn't have to park in Hollywood and Highland and pay the parking price. I was able to park around there because my good friend Lily von Stupp lives in the neighborhood, and I have a parking pass that I've paid for that neighborhood. Now, I couldn't hang out at her house, but I could go ahead and park on her street, which is really convenient and helped me out. So I got there at 3. I said, Pat, text me when you're in town. So he finally texts me, and it was around 3:45. He's like, I'm here. So I make my way out of the car. I make my way through Hollywood and Highland, and it's really busy, and there's tons of people in Van Halen shirts. And people are already staking out spots on the balcony so they can see the show from the side and not be out in the main crowd. But the thing is, then you got to stand there in Hollywood and Highland forever at that banister and make sure nobody squeezes you the fuck out. So I walk out, I meet Pat, I meet his friends, Jim and Becky, who were very nice. There's a couple, Jim's a high school friend of Pat's, and Becky is his girlfriend, and they were very nice. And the fact that they were willing to come out and be in the sun forever was fine with me. Becky had she basically didn't even know who the fuck she was seeing, but she was a sport, and that was good. It's like I tell Jill all the time, I go, you're a yes. That's the most important thing, is you're a yes. Whatever I say to Jill, she's like, yeah, cool. That's the fucking greatest feeling. So we get there. Now, again, they said on the ticket, get there at 3:30, band goes at dusk, ends at 8:15. For me, dusk, sunset was like at 7:20. So I figured it was around then. So I'm like, well, we're going to get an hour out of the band. So then Pat and I start walking over, and we're on Hollywood Boulevard, but it's all blocked off. There's barricades and green screens, and we really can't see anything. And it said we had to get our tickets at Hollywood and Sycamore. So we walk past Hollywood and Orange. We come around the corner, and I just see this teeming mass of humanity in corrals. And there's 3 separate corrals with like 12 different zigzag lines packed with people. Now I should say, again, it's 3:50. We were supposed to get there at 3:30. I'm like, how the fuck did all these people get here in 20 minutes? This makes no sense. We go to the check-in for our tickets, and they go, no, man, when you get to this point through the line, then we'll check your ticket. But right now you got to get in line. And I was like, where's the line? He goes, it's there. So like I said, there's 3 corrals full of people, full of zigzag lines. But then the line does like a whip crack, and it goes around the barricades across the street on Hollywood Boulevard, and then all the way down to Highland. 3 blocks. 3 blocks. And that's 3 blocks just on the street, not counting all of the people in the corrals. I mean, and when I say 3 blocks, it's not single file fucking line. There's like groups of 5 and 6 and 7, and we're walking down, and Pat and Jim and Becky went to, I think they used a restroom or something, but I walked by myself, and there were cops talking, and this cop is like, this is crazy, and I go, dude, have people been lined up since 3:30? He goes, people were here at 8 o'clock last night. So, I was worried about getting there at 3:30 and having to wait 5 hours. There are people who've been there for almost fucking 24 hours by the time the band will be finished. And look, I love Van Halen, but 50-year-old me wouldn't allow me. I don't even get that much sleep, for fuck's sake. I'm going to go sit out somewhere in the sun? It just seems crazy. But I wanted to see it. Of course, I certainly wanted to see it, so I had to be there. But Jesus Christ, 8 o'clock. That's the shit I used to do when I was a kid. I would, if you told me, hey, go wait out, if you're going to see Van Halen for free, I would have absolutely waited out 24 hours. But fuck, not now. I didn't even want to wait 4. We get in line. me and Pat are goofing around. We're just having fun. Get a slice of pizza, and it was just great to hang out with Pat. Honestly, whatever else happened, it was cool to see Pat. Because again, like I said, I don't do anything. I watch cupcake shows, I work, and I see my beautiful girlfriend. 2 weeks out of every month, I'm very happy. The other 2 weeks, I'm just kind of got my head down and trying to get through it so I can get to the other 2 weeks. So I can either come here or get Jill there by me. But to hang out with Pat is just gold because he and I have so much fun. We make each other laugh. We're making Jim and Becky laugh. And it also made the time pass. If I was down there by myself, man, for 4 fucking hours, what a drag would that have been? It would have been such a fucking drag. So the line keeps creeping up and we're like, we're never making it. We're not going to get in. But the best part is looking at all the freaky Hollywood people that are in line. I mean, all of these rockers come out and they're pallid, their skin. It looks like the cast and crew of The Descent. They're all in line to see these movies, but instead they're going to stop and eat a bunch of fucking hikers. I mean, these people with white skin and fangs and there was a dude and he walked by me and I go, how's Tammy Down feel about it? Which is the lead singer of Faster Pussycat, because this guy sort of looked like him, but he was wearing a full Warriors costume from the film. He was dressed like Ajax, but he also had a top hat on. So I mean, that might not be Ajax. No, but it said Ajax on his vest. Dude, he had fucking the vest. He had the Warriors vest. And he had war paint on. He had the whole fucking outfit. And I even said to Pat, I go, I got to be honest, man. He looks fucking ridiculous, but I want that vest. And Pat's like, well, there's only one place you can wear it, and that's this. I go, well, I don't need to wear it. I just want to look at it so it's in my house and I can stare at it and be happy. It's just a fucking Warriors vest. The guy it looked like an official, like he had it made or whatever, but it looked fucking fantastic. But he did not. And it was just this melange of people who, obviously are not, there are some diehard fans and there are some people who are fucking bananas and just want to get out of the fucking sun. But they want to be in the sun. So we're in line and I kept saying, we're not going to get in. And Pat's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm a little worried because it did say on your ticket that they would cut the line off at a certain point. So we make it around. It's about 3 hours we're in line because, again, we got in line about 4. And it was about 6:45 we finally reached the line and they let us into the corral. And so we're in. And by in, I mean we're on Hollywood Boulevard. And Van Halen is playing on Hollywood Boulevard, but they're playing, I think, in a different county on Van Halen Boulevard or on Hollywood Boulevard. It should have been Van Halen Boulevard. But we get in. Let me give you an idea of how far away we are. The stage is set up on Highland. Okay? Now, remember, I said we had to walk over Orange and Sycamore and all that to get in. Well, that's where we wind up standing. So there's the stage. There's a ton of people. There's a video screen. There's a ton of people. There's another video screen. There's a ton of people. And we're at the back of those tons of people. We're probably like 4th row in the back. There's no seats. We're just standing there milling around. So we get in there, and I mean, the stage is a postage stamp. I mean, you can barely fucking see it. It's like if you would have told me it was an ant farm or a flea circus that did Van Halen songs, I totally would have been on board with it. Yeah, sounds good. I'm in. I had a piece of pizza and hung out with Pat. I'm fine. But then we're sitting there waiting, and it's 6:45, and they're showing the Kimmel taping on the big screen. So we're watching it unfold, and Vin Diesel is on, and they're interviewing him, and then they go dark for a while. And everybody kind of gets restless and they're freaking out. And they have a warm-up guy coming out and he's trying to hype the crowd up. And he keeps going, we're getting closer to Van Halen, everybody. Let's make some noise. All that bullshit fucking warm-up garbage. And it's like, you know what? You want us to be excited? Get the fucking band out here. That will make us excited. But I understand it's his job. So he keeps coming out and he keeps doing it. He keeps trying to hype us up. And Pat and I are making jokes and we're making Jim and Becky laugh. And then we're starting to make people around us laugh because it's just ridiculous at this point. It's so ludicrous that this guy keeps coming out and telling us to make some noise and get happy and excited. So we're standing there waiting. It's 6:30, 6:45, 7 o'clock, 7:15. And this guy keeps coming out to do hype and there's no band. And finally the sun goes down behind us. And now it's 7, then 20, and 7:30. And I'm like, all right, the band should be out any second. And the guy keeps coming out with we're getting closer to Van Halen. We're so close to Van Halen. And he finally comes out. He goes, who's ready? We're so close to Van Halen. And I just boo! I boo the shit out of this guy. And all of us did. It was great because it wasn't like a laugh or anything. All of us in the back just started booing furiously, Pat and me, and we just let them have it. Because nobody wants your hype. We want the fucking band. And again, it's a television show taping, so they keep going, when we turn the lights on, we want you to clap. And they start doing trial runs, and they start making you cheer for nothing. And dude, I'm not, because I'm in the fucking back. You know what I'm going to cheer for? Van Halen. That's it. And they keep doing the warm-up, and we keep fucking booing. And then they bring Kimmel out, and he goes, hey, they're like, hey, Jimmy's going to do some promos, and then we're going to get to the band. Boo! Nobody cares. And we're just yelling like, die. And we're drowning them out. And booing and just miserable. And poor Becky's a trooper. Again, she doesn't know Van Halen, or she knows who they are, but she doesn't care. Jim does, but it's just, they're in town from out of town. They're not used to this kind of weirdness and this goofy event, and also they're not used to a big fucking dickbag booing a guy who's trying to get people cheered up. But Pat and I played the role of the dickbags, and we booed. We were the boo guys. That's a sketch we wrote once. I'll tell you about it another time. So we're there, and finally, it's getting so restless that at like 7:40, David Lee Roth comes out. And you hear people start cheering up front, and he gets on the microphone, and he's like, hey, just letting you know they're doing the TV stuff now, and they're getting the lights all squared away, and as soon as they get it going on, we're going to get out here, and we're going to play a great show for you. It's going to be exciting. Who's ready for Van Halen? And people go nuts, and then he leaves. And so that was enough. They threw us kind of enough of a bone until... I'm not kidding, 10 seconds later, Hypey Jones comes out and he's like, hey, so close to Dave coming out with the band. Boo! We did not care. We booed the fuck out of that guy. So Kimmel comes out and does his promos, and he actually looks like deer in headlights scared because people are booing the shit out of him. And I don't know how they sweetened it or how they were able to cut it out, but I mean, it was really loud. Certainly where I was, the boos were loud and just getting louder. So then finally they cut the cameras, and the guy comes out to hype us again, and people boo. And then he stops hyping, and the fucking stage lights come on. And they cut to Kimmel on the video screens, and he's holding the album. And he says, all right, ladies and gentlemen, making their first North American appearance with, it's Eddie. And then he says, Van Halen. And the place goes crazy. And they come out. And I should tell you this, when we were in line, Pat and he goes, how many songs are they going to play? I said, they're going to play 10. Because they had said it was going to be a concert. But the later it got, Pat kept going, we're going to get 4 songs. We're going to get 2 songs. I'm like, dude, they wouldn't do that. I go, they're closing Hollywood Boulevard. They're going to play a fucking show. I go, they're not going to play like 2 hours, but they're going to play a fucking show. So we made a list of the 10 songs we thought they'd play. And we didn't put them in order, but we wrote them down. We put them in our phone, and we were like, all right, I said, these are the ones I think they're going to do. And they come out, and they open with Panama. And Eddie sounds fucking great. He's shredding. Wolfie, the band, the music is tight. And Dave comes out and he starts talking, and then he starts singing. And I told you, the moment when I decided I probably wouldn't get the live album was when I heard Panama online from Tokyo. So I was kind of dreading him opening his mouth. And sure enough, he walks out. I should tell you what Dave's wearing. He's got double denim on. He's got like a denim jacket and denim pants. And his hair is growing back. It's not bald like it was at the Foo Fighters show, but the jacket is open with no shirt. And you can see the fucking sleeve tattoos up and down his chest. I don't know what they're called. They're ritualistic or something. And he comes out and he's furiously chewing gum because apparently he doesn't want to blurt out on national TV, I'm gay. And he gets to the microphone, and he's got the microphone in his hand. He's twirling, when he comes out, he's twirling the mic stand, and I thought it was a sword at first, because he does that too. But he's twirling it, and then he grabs the microphone off of it, and the music starts, and they start playing Panama, and he's on the video screen, they show him, and he says, jump back, what's that sound? And he doesn't push his register, he sings it low. And I immediately look at Pat, and Pat looks at me, and he goes, he sounds great. And I'm like, he does. And I like hug Pat, and I'm shaking him, and he goes, you're going to hurt me. And I go, I don't mean to, but dude. And he sings the song, and he's crushing it. He sounds great. He's not trying to get high notes. But in the video screen, he keeps wiping his face. He keeps touching his face, and I can't figure out why. But then when they close up on him, I see his face is covered in blood. Like from his nose down over his mouth, and he's trying to sing, and there's blood on his face, and he keeps reaching up and touching it and wiping it, and fighters do that. They'll feel the blood running, and they wipe their eye to get it out. Well, he keeps singing, but he keeps wiping the blood, and I'm like, he's bleeding. I go, dude, Dave, he's fucking really bleeding. And we all notice it on the video screen, but he keeps singing and the band keeps playing. And into the second verse, they do the Panama, the chorus, and then they go into the second verse, and Dave starts to sing, and then he goes, you know what? Hold up, hold up, hold up. He goes, I can't. He goes, man, I smashed myself in the face with the fucking microphone. I'm bleeding up here. He goes, I can't do this. We got to start over. Let's start over. All right? I apologize. We'll do this. We'll start over. Well, when he's saying that, the band is still playing. They're still playing Panama, like Eddie and Wolfie and Alex. It's like they're not even listening to Dave, what he's saying, and Dave walks off. He goes off to the side of the stage. The band keeps playing. They make eye contact with one another, and they start kind of just riffing. It's off of Panama, but there's spin off of it, and then Alex does a mini drum solo, and they're playing a little bit. You know what it was? It was Spinal Tap's Jazz Odyssey. That's what it was. It was like they just decided, you know what? Jazz Odyssey. And they fucking burst into it. And they start playing as if they were rehearsing and having fun, and Eddie's kind of laughing with Wolfie. And off on the side, you just see Dave's got a huge towel on his face, and like a medic is there, and they're taking a look at his face. And I started laughing. I'm like, first North American television appearance in 40 years in this band's incarnation, and Dave busts himself in the face and starts bleeding all over the goddamn place. Like, I mean, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't see him hit himself with the microphone. I think maybe his nose just started to stress bleed because he keeps trying to not say he's gay. That was the main thing I thought to myself. I thought maybe the sword hit him. I wasn't sure, but I just know that he was bleeding. And so they wipe him off, they clean him off, and he comes walking back out, and he's got a breathe right strip on the gash on his nose, because he had a bloody nose, but also he cut it open. So he's got a bandage on. And he's like, all right, we're going to do this over again. You guys ready? We're going to do this over. And he starts hyping the crowd up, and the crowd goes crazy. And then they kick it in from the beginning again. And you know what? I'll tell you this. Any other band, well, not any other band, but a lot of other bands, they would have just crumbled in the face of it because they came out, they were fucking hyped. The crowd had been waiting fucking forever. And then they have to stop in the middle of the first song because the singer cuts his nose open and he's bleeding. And all the momentum kind of got sucked out of the crowd. But Dave came back and he fucking grabbed him. He grabbed him by the throat and he made them pay attention. He's like, we're going to do this again. Are you ready? Are you excited? And they fucking were with Dave because they fucking love Dave. We love Dave. And they started Panama again, and Dave pushed his register a little bit, but he still sounded great to me. Let's put it this way. Let's qualify the word great. I did a show where I talked about their last tour, and I shredded Dave. I mean, I really killed him. And then I wound up having an argument with a guy outside afterwards. We can go by year 5 or whatever the fuck it was. But, David Lee Roth is still somebody to be reckoned with. People try to make him a punchline. People try to make the band a punchline. People try to treat them as a joke, and they're not. He's not. David Lee Roth is out there now, and yeah, maybe he's not what he used to be. And maybe he's pushing it and trying too hard, and he's trying to do things that he can't do. And it exposes some of his weaknesses. But you know what? He's also got all of his strengths on display because he was able to take a crowd of 10,000 people on Hollywood Boulevard who had all the momentum sucked out of them and bring them right back into the performance because he's a fucking front man. It's what he does. Now, granted, he's no longer 1981 fair warning sexy front man, and now he's more borscht belt comedian, hey, look, there's your uncle. I mean, it gets on my nerves. I won't lie to you, watching it happen, because I killed him the last time I saw him. And then I thought about it, and I went, you know what? These are the guys that were my heroes growing up. They're my favorite band of all time, and they're out there crushing it. Eddie is still playing. He's still amazing. Wolfie does a great job as the bass player, and Alex is Alex. And Dave has to be there. He has to be there. You have to have him to have Van Halen. I love Sammy Hagar in the band. I did. I liked Gary Cherone because, again, Eddie was the common denominator in all of those fucking bands. But the bottom line is, if in 2015 you want to tour as Van Halen, you bring Dave. And I love the fact that everybody was kind of hyping it as some weird reunion. They were like, oh, they got back together with David Lee Roth. Dude, they've been back together with David Lee Roth since 2007. And they put out a phenomenal studio album 2 years ago, and they did a massive world tour in 2013. So don't pretend like this is some new thing. Dave's in the band. Now, granted, Dave's in the band in that he shows up to sing. He's not friends with Eddie. He's not friends with Wolfie. He's not friends with Alex. Well, he might be friends with Alex. I don't know why. Who's friends with Alex? The stories were out there last year on the tour, or 2 years ago. The band traveled together, and Dave traveled separately. Dave didn't do sound checks. He'd show up at the arena, and whenever they knew they were going to go on, he'd be there in time, and they'd do the show, and then they'd leave separately. They're not best friends, but they recognize that they need each other, and they recognize that they bring a spark when they're together that you can't find anywhere else. Eddie could tour solo. He could go do guitar stuff like Steve Vai or Joe Satriani, but he'd be playing in, 1,500-seat clubs. Maybe he doesn't want to do that. Maybe he wants to go out and tour in his namesake band with his son and enjoy the twilight of his musical years and be better than he's ever fucking been. And if he has to make the sacrifice of being with Dave, he does it. And, again, like I said, Dave isn't... Because Dave used to act like a goof even when he was a classic sexy frontman. That's the thing. He'd do the I'm going to fuck your girlfriend. He'd do the same pattern every city. He'd do the we love you people. He'd do the look at all the people here tonight. All that same stuff. Now, yeah, he does a soft shoe and he spins around. He pulls a plant out of the audience and he does a dance. But it's compelling to watch. David Lee Roth is like a human chimp. You don't know what he's going to do next. He might be in an elevator operator suit. He might be jumping around in a window in a brownstone in Chicago. You have no fucking clue. He might be hanging out with the Little Rascals, and it wouldn't surprise you. I hate when people come down on David Lee Roth. I'll tell you what, after the show, I'll say, well, let's talk about the show a little bit. They did Panama a second time. They did Running with the Devil. They did Ain't Talking About Love. They did Hot for Teacher. Eddie played Eruption. And the whole time, Dave... You had to watch him. As goofy and as silly and as ridiculous as he was still having fun. He's still compelling to watch. He's not brooding. He's got your attention. It was funny, I was talking to Jill. She was telling me she saw Dwight Yoakam and he never moved. He basically stood at the microphone because she goes and sees the country shows that she likes. And that was the first guy she ever saw. He was the guy who got her into country music. Then she said she saw the concert and he was fucking terrible because I found out Jill was a metalhead. She loves the Scorpions and Rush and all these bands that I loved, but she became a country fan later in life. And, I told her, well, look, I loved Guitars, Cadillacs because that's a classic song. It's a great song. It's a song you must recognize. It's like Friends in Low Places. It's just a great fucking song. Whether it's country or not, it's still a good song. So she said she saw Dwight Yoakam and he never moved. She said she saw Toby Keith in concert and he never moved. He just sat there and sang. And she said that she didn't get into it. She didn't dig it. Well, David Lee Roth absolutely does not do that. And I'm mad at myself. I'm really mad at myself for criticizing him the last tour. Yeah, maybe it wasn't all for me, but I have to recognize that he's doing what he feels he should be doing to entertain a crowd, especially with what he has at his disposal now, because he doesn't have a powerful voice anymore. He never really had a powerful voice. And the sex appeal is gone, so you know what he's doing? He's relying on his Uncle Manny and the experience he had in jazz clubs growing up and all the influence he's had of calypso entertainers and Compton Floss, and he's been influenced by physical comedians, and he brings all of that to the stage. And we all age. We can't all have fucking ripped abs and chest hair and fucking spandex packed with a fucking pack of socks in the front and flowing blonde hair for the rest of our lives. And so, you know what? You do the best with what you got. He said it himself in a song. You do the best with what you got. And what he's got right now is all of his experience on stage in front of people, and he brings it to bear. And he held a crowd of 10,000 people in the palm of his hand on Hollywood Boulevard after they'd been waiting in the sun, some of them for 24 hours. And they cheered and they went nuts. They did 7 songs, 8 if you count Panama twice. We hit all of them on our list. And, they played the songs that were going to air on Kimmel. And Dave again said, hey, look, relax, because he talked to us. He treated us as if we were fans. He's often said, hey, man, we're the soundtrack of the beach. We're the soundtrack of when you're out in your car in the parking lots across America. You hear Van Halen and you hear me singing those fucking songs. And he's right. He's absolutely fucking right. So when people savage him or they say he's a goof or he's this or he's that, it just drives me crazy. So they played the songs that were going to air on Kimmel, and they went to do a photo op, and Kimmel's people, they just fucking bull rush the stage to take the pictures, and Dave takes the microphone and he goes, hey, this is the TV nonsense for the cameras, and we're going to go ahead and pose and take some photos now, and then we're going to play a Power Pack show. Stick around, everyone. He made sure to address us and let us know that he was thinking about us because he's fucking grateful. He's grateful that his life's work is still appreciated and he's able to still do it. As I get older, I realize that like I said, there's no such thing as selling out. There's no such thing as someone who needs the money or who tours for that. I mean, there might be mercenary people out there who do it for that reason or they don't enjoy it, but David Lee Roth loves life. You can see it. The guy lives half the time in Japan. He's in New York. He quit to be an EMT. He's been a radio show host. You've known David Lee Roth's name for 40 years. You've known who he is as an entertainer and as a person. You don't know everything about him, I don't think, but he's let you see what he wants you to see. And he's entertained people for 40 years. He went out with the original Van Halen. He went out solo. He went out with the Sam and Dave tour. He went out in Vegas and he put together a fucking review. And he was doing calypso songs. I mean, fuck. This is a guy who's just a built-in entertainer. He was born to do it. And Eddie's a gearhead who plays amazing guitar, and he smiles at the audience, but he doesn't really engage anyone. He relies on Dave to do that. It's very much the Keith Richards Mick Jagger dynamic, where Keith Richards wants to play, and he just stands there and he plays, and he's Keith because he's Keith and he's cool. But Mick is all over the fucking place. Mick's hanging from a blimp, and he's doing backflips off the fucking speakers, and he's running out the ramp, and he's high-fiving people and wearing fucking pants with lips on them, and Keith Richards never fucking moves, because you think if he does and a stiff wind comes up, he'll turn to dust. Well, Eddie's different. Eddie just wants to play guitar, man, and he wants to play with his kid, and he wants to play the songs that he wrote. And they bring Dave out to do it, and it's fucking fantastic. Yeah, Dave can't sing. I don't give a fuck. Everything else Dave brings to the table makes up for it. So the show was great. They ended. They finished. And I said my goodbyes to Pat and Becky and Jim, and I went home. And I got to do something amazing because of where I live. I got to do something amazing because of where I'm located. Dude, that shit doesn't happen in Nebraska. And nothing against Nebraska. But because I grew up in fucking Bolingbrook, Illinois. If they said, hey, Van Halen's going to close down fucking Boughton Road and play a concert, are you fucking kidding me? The entire town would come out. The entire state might come out. So 10,000 people on Hollywood Boulevard was just amazing to see it happen. It was great. And I loved it. And I couldn't see the band, but I saw the video screens and they sounded good. And I can't wait to see the tour. And I will absolutely buy the live album because you know what? They've given me so much happiness and so much joy in my life. They deserve my money. They deserve my money. I get home and I get on Facebook. The first thing I read once I get home, a guy writes, he just writes, stayed up late to watch Van Halen on Jimmy Kimmel. What a joke. Eddie looks like Kenny Rogers. His fat son looks like he ate Michael Anthony. And David Lee Roth embarrassed himself by preening and not being able to sing. I guess Eddie really needs the money. And this will sound stupid, but that hurt me as a person. I know I shouldn't take it personally, and I don't want to fight with ghosts, but that hurt me. Because it was, again, artless snark. That meant nothing. Because it came from no one. This band has been entertaining people for 40 years. There are people out there who slept 24 hours on the street to see them. And you just dismiss them in 2 sentences? Don't you recognize that what they bring to the table is so much more than what you saw? Eddie looks like Kenny Rogers? Really? Eddie shreds. Eddie plays fucking amazing guitar. He's one of the greatest guitar players in the history of the world, and he still has it and brings it to bear every fucking show. His son is heavy? Dude, his son can sing. Go look at clips on YouTube. Come see them in concert. His son nails all of the backing vocals that Michael Anthony did almost as well. I won't say just as well, but he and Eddie harmonize perfectly and they nail everything, and Wolfie holds down the bass. Fucking great. He's playing in a legendary band and holding his own. David Lee Roth is a joke? Again, I said it before. I'll say it again. 40 years you've known that guy's name. 40 years he's been entertaining people, and for 40 years there are people who've loved him and still love him and will love him until he goes. And when he goes, people will cry because they will miss him because he meant so much to them. This is us. This is people putting their childhoods and their expectations onto people who've gotten old. I've talked about it before. You can't expect Van Halen from 1981 to walk on stage. You get Van Halen from 2015. And if they play the songs that you remember and the songs that you love, can't that be enough? Can't you let bands be who they are and do what they do? It makes me laugh. It's like when I told a story in here about Cheap Trick. Cheap Trick plays the fair circuit. They'll go out and they'll play fairs in the summer, and people make fun of them. People are like, oh man, yeah, Cheap Trick, boy, that's fucking terrible. They're playing at the Summerfest, or they're playing at some fair, and they're only like 1,000 people came in. Hey, they got, you know what? That band got 1,000 fucking people to pay to see them. Yeah, they played the fair. You know what they did? They showed up. They got fucking $25,000 and played for an hour. And then got in a van and went to the airport or to the next city. Because people want to see them do what they do. Because they're fucking legends. They worked an hour and got $25,000. What have you done? Besides sit down and type how much you don't fucking like them. Or how funny you think you are making fun of them. And that was the thing that drove me crazy, was the line, Eddie must need the money. Again, a massive world tour in 2013. They made so much money in 2013, and fucking Dave is rich. Dave truly doesn't need the money. Dave's dad was rich before he was even in fucking Van Halen. I think his dad owned the patent on the artificial heart with Richard Jarvik. He had so much money. He probably still has the first dollar he ever owned. He still has his father's mansion in Pasadena. It's where he lives. He and his sister. But Eddie needs the money? Are you fucking joking? Eddie owns all of his publishing. Eddie owns all of his fucking music rights. If Eddie wanted to, he could call a company tomorrow, I don't know, fucking Swiss Miss Pudding or Ford or anybody, and say, hey, you want to use Jump? And he would get $5 million. Eddie doesn't need the money. Eddie plays because he loves it. Eddie plays because he wants to be out with his kid. And Eddie brought joy to everybody on Hollywood Boulevard. Dave brought joy to everybody on Hollywood Boulevard. 10,000 people came to see them and sat in the sun and waited. And so when I read these people killing them and saying that they're awful and they're terrible, I'm like, you can have your opinion, that's fine, but then don't watch them. And then don't buy them. This is the crushing blow we have as a society, is we use people up and we throw them away. We remember what they used to be, and when they don't live up to what the standards we have in our head for them are, we throw them away. When in reality, they have value. Take what you want from these bands, take what you want from actors, take what you want from comedians, and leave the rest. You don't have to love everything everybody does, but you have to recognize that their body of work is greater than the expectations you've put on them because of what you enjoyed in the past. You guys can get me at mikeandmikeschmidtcomedy.com. You guys can be my friend at facebook.com/the40yearoldboy. You can follow me at twitter.com/the40yearoldboy. You can find our friend Lily Von Stupp on Facebook. But first, let me tell you about our friend David Hernandez. Now, David does all of the artwork and all of the music for this show. He is a true Renaissance man who takes care of business and makes me look better than I have any right to look. But I will tell you this week, David was in the deserts of Arizona, and he came back from there with the flu, like a deadly flu. Like he told me, dude, I'm chugging NyQuil and I can't move. I'm glad it didn't hit him while he was on vacation, but I worry about my friend. So he texted me today and he's like, hey, do you have any idea what the show's going to be about? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm sitting in a car and erasing audio, so I have no fucking clue how to handle things. And he said, what do you think? I said, well, probably about Van Halen on Monday. And he said, well, what do you think? I don't know if I have it in me to do a painting. And he proposed a different idea. And I go, dude, that's absolutely funnier than anything you could paint this week. That's fine. I love it. And he goes, all right, well, that's cool. So if you look at your artwork now, either on your computer or on your iPod or on your phone or however you're listening to us, that was Mex's idea. He pitched it to me and I was like, done. Absolutely. I fucking loved it. So it made me laugh. But you can find David, because he does do artwork in addition to what you see this week. You can get his artwork at artbydmh.com. That's ARTBYDMH.com. And you can go ahead and check out all the stuff that he's done in the past and stuff he will do in the future. You can commission him to do work for you. That would be cool. I would love it. He would get some money and maybe he could buy some more NyQuil and get better. And our friend Lily Von Stupp is the producer. She is always attentive, always ready to do the things that I need her to do, but not this week. She was on a plane, I was on a plane, we couldn't meet, but she's stitching together the chunks and making sure that you have a crazy quilt of a show put together. You can find her at facebook.com/Lily Von Stupp and be her friend. You can follow her at several different Twitter accounts, twitter.com/MNTs, twitter.com/HollywoodBQFest, and twitter.com/Lily Von Stupp. But if you'd like to write her a personal note, and find out if she wouldn't mind hanging out in my car when I record so she can run my phone and make sure I don't fucking lose 30 minutes of audio the next time I have to do this. You can get her at Lily at burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com. Want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Teas every Monday night at the 3 Clubs on Vine at Santa Monica. It is an amazing show, one of the best burlesque shows in the history of Los Angeles. I know the LA Weekly called it one of the top 5 best burlesque shows. Time Out LA called it one of the top 10 burlesque shows. And the LA Weekly called the 3 Clubs the best Hollywood bar. That's a hat trick, folks. You got to get involved in that, right? And I would tell you that Lily would tell you about the show, but she is not here, as I've mentioned. So I will tell you that last week's show, I'm sure, was amazing. I'm sure it went really well. I was on Hollywood Boulevard watching Van Halen and getting sore legs, but she was off watching girls take their clothes off. I don't know who's the winner there, honestly. I did get to see Van Halen, and I got to see David Lee Roth bleed. She got to see hot girls. For my money, I go me, but she would say differently, I'm sure. Next Monday, which is what, the 6th, the 5th, the 6th? I think it's the 6th. It's going to be an amazing show at the 3 Clubs. She's got Bella LeBlanc will be there, of course, Anastasia von Teeserhausen, who's a friend of mine. She's very cool. Miss May, Glamis Sutra, Lucille Highball, Serena Siren, Serafina Wilder, Veronica Kush. All of these people will be there. Maybe Veronica Kush. Kush? Kush is that fuzzy ball that Rosie O'Donnell threw at everybody. Kush is bud, kind bud, weed. I said in a weird Cheech and Chong voice. But yeah, all of those people will be performing at the 3 Clubs on Vine at Santa Monica next week, Monday, April 9th. And the show, what time does the show start? 9:30, 10 o'clock, I think. Tickets are available at brownpapertickets.com for all of Lily's upcoming shows, the 13th, the 20th, the 27th, all of those available. Go to Brown Paper Tickets, put in Lily Von Stupp's name, put in Monday Night Teas. You will find any and all tickets for events that she's involved in or booking or just going to see. That's right, you can accompany her to her events now. That's how Brown Paper works. She's in so tight with those people, they follow her movements, and they'll sell tickets for you to just walk next to her on the street. So go ahead and Google her name or put it in at Brown Paper Tickets, put in Monday Night Teas, buy tickets, go check out the show. Always a good time, always fun, and always has my friend Lily in the house. So go and see it. Our friend Ryan Dirks, as I've mentioned, is all of the web stuff for this show. He does all of the web things, and he's a good guy to do it because he is Farmer Ryan. He's feeding goats and squirrels. And then he goes in the house and he puts on his tech hat and he trons it up and he rides a light cycle and he makes my web stuff happen. So good for him. Thank you, Ryan. You can find him at facebook.com/Ryan Dirks, or you can go to ryandirks.littleprofiles.com, right? You know what? I might go ahead and try to find out. I have it somewhere. Let's put it on the internet here. ryandirks.littleprofiles. You're listening to me do this. How terrible is this? I should have had this all queued up at some point. But yeah, go to Ryan Dirks. ryandirks.littleprofiles.com. So go ahead and check out our friend Ryan on his web stuff, and he does all sorts of things, and you can hire him to do anything that you would need him to do. So go ahead and do that. As I mentioned, you go to artbydmh.com and find our very ill friend David Hernandez, and he's ill as in sick, and he's ill as in Run DMC. He's all of those things and more. So go to his website, artbydmh.com. Go to the MikeSchmidtComedy.com Joe Business page. You can go to all the pages and look at those and see what you like. But if you go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com and you go to the Joe Business page, we've got all sorts of stuff for sale. Neat things, amazing things, unbelievable things. And, we got some stuff that's probably not so good either, but who cares? Go there and check it out. You'll get, and it's worth it just to see the artwork, to see Hobo Mex peeking over the fence and Hobo Little Schmitty trying to sell you some pencils. We've got signed artwork, of course, is available. It'll be signed by me and Lily and David. That's, of course, the guy who talks and the woman who produces and the guy who paints. We will all sign those. We've got Yurt Dirt Dirt shirts available. Go ahead and pick those up at a discounted price still, I believe. We have Tweaked Audio, who are our friends, and they help us by supporting the show. You can buy years of the podcast as downloads. You can download year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, and year 6 of this podcast individually, or get them all together as part of the Reservoir Schmidt Dogs box set. We have the Big Angry CD, of course, is available. You can check that out, and it's I will sign it for you if you buy it through the website. Schmidt Alive 2 is a video and audio download. You can grab that. It's a special that I did at the Podfest last year. A lot of you are asking if I'm going to be at Podfest this year. That's a question for Graham and Chris and Andy and Dave. Ask them. So, because people are coming and buying tickets and making plans to come to town, and they're saying, "What night are you on?" Dude, I have no idea. I don't know if I'm on. So write them and see if they want to tell me that I'm on, and then I can tell you that I'm on. But right now, I don't know if I'm involved. I have been, but it takes some time to make their decision. So I'm assuming they'll let us all know eventually. But I know they're announcing some shows. That's why people asked me. But check it out. I have no idea. Ask them. Of course, we have our Amazon link available on our page. You can donate. First of all, let's talk about that. You can donate to the show on MikeSchmidtComedy.com. The donate link is everywhere. You can click on all of them in the upper left-hand corner. But on the donation page itself, the Joe Business page, it's actually down on a little tin can in front of Little Schmitty. Click on that and donate to the show. And of course, our Amazon link. You click through that, then you click to the regular Amazon. Anything you buy, I get credit for. The show gets helped. Lily's very happy. David does a somersault even though he's sick, and everyone celebrates and high fives. We do a three-way high five at the end of Police Squad style, and then we freeze, and we stand there for like 45 minutes. So go ahead and buy something from Amazon, and we get credit for it. God knows I need your 8 cents. So please go ahead and do that. And I want to send a special thank you out. Oh, first of all, I got to tell you this real quick. Remember, I'm doing a live show. I'll be doing some more live shows. I don't have any to announce just yet, but I am in Phoenix, Arizona, Saturday, May 16th. Go ahead and try to get tickets for that. You can go to brownpapertickets.com and find tickets for me, Mike Schmidt, in Phoenix in the first, unless I booked something before it, but right now I think it's the first of the Release the Bees tour that we're doing. So, and again, I don't know what it's going to be. Could be just me talking, and it's kind of the plan. I wasn't going to fucking sing. I'm not Dice. I can't be doing Grease Lightning. But yeah, so I'm in Phoenix. Tickets are available now. Go ahead and buy those at brownpapertickets.com, and I'll know you're coming, and we'll all have fun in Phoenix, and we'll all sweat. I cannot wait to come to town and sweat. I'm going to wear easily 3 shirts. 2. 1. You know what? I'm not wearing a shirt. I'm refusing. I'm going topless. It's a Phoenix show. Let's all get naked. I will show up at the airport naked. They will not search me, and I will land in Phoenix naked and come right to the damn show. Exciting. I'm in. I was going to say exciting, and it's exciting, and I think I said it's sighting. Oh, Lord. But I can't go back and retake it because we're on the phone. Please remember that I'm doing the Phoenix show, and I wanted to tell you this. I wanted to thank some people. I had sometimes listeners come to town, and they'll write me and they'll be like, hey, can I meet you? Hey, can I see you? Can we do this? And they're very nice. And if I can do it, I will. I'm sorry I missed our friend Jason a couple of weeks ago when he went to the Monday Night Teas. But this past week, this is weird, 3 different listeners came to town in the same week, and I was able to see all of them. It was great. First, my friend KC, Chris from Portland, came to town. She was in town with her husband and her kids for a couple of days, and then they wound up going back to Portland, and she was here working. But I think it was 10 days, man. They went to San Diego, they went to a zoo, they went to SeaWorld, they went all over the place, and she was like, hey, we can go to sushi dinner if you're in town. And I said, great. So I wound up seeing Chris, and that was really fun. You may remember Chris was the one who kind of tricked me into doing the Warrior Dash by making fun of me and telling me I was a jerk. None of that's true. She got me, though, to do the Warrior Dash, and I was proud of it, and it turned out well. I was happy that she got me involved. So she's like a long-distance person. She's running like half marathons in the rain, and she's a machine. She's a goddamn machine. But she wanted to go for sushi, so we did, and we did not go to Katsuya. We went to a place called Kiwami, which is presented by Katsuya. It's also owned by the same chefs, and it has a slightly different menu, but still amazingly delicious. We had a good time, and she was nice enough to bring me out. So thank you, Casey. Good to see you. I know you'll hear this in 9 months. She's told me, she's like, it's so funny. Whenever I meet people, they're always like, I'm really sorry. I'm like 6 months behind on the podcast. I'm like, you're never going to catch up. It doesn't matter. I go, you're nice to still download. Thank you so much. But let's be honest, you're never going to catch up. So she'll hear this in, what is it? It's April. So she'll probably hear this in October. So good. I hope you enjoy it, Casey. And then I had a text from a friend named John. John has also been talked about on this show. John he's come to see me. John is like a Derek Leitner. Derek has seen me, I think, in 5 different cities. John has too. John saw me in Cleveland. He saw me in Boston. He saw me in Toronto. And he came to Detroit, to Mission Hills. And John and I, one of my favorite, he was the guy who went up with me to the top of the CNN Tower, and when I almost walked it, he was with me, but they wouldn't let me do it because I was too big of a dude. But he is just a great guy who always makes the scene. He took me all around Toronto. We went out late night food, and one of my greatest memories on the road was, I had to leave Boston. He was going to take me to the airport. And there was a sandwich place that I really wanted to try, but I didn't get there. So I said, hey, man, I'm checking out. I'll be down whenever. And when I came downstairs to check out of the hotel, we were leaving a little early because I wasn't sure what traffic would be like. He had stopped at the sandwich place, unbeknownst to me. He had heard me talk about it, and I told him what I had heard about, and he bought the sandwiches. And I don't know why it touched me in such a way, because it was such a cool thing for him to do. And you guys all do that. Whenever I see you out on the road, a lot of people do nice things for me. But it just seemed like such an above and beyond, because he wasn't from Boston. You know, he was from Toronto. He was just fucking in town, and he found the place, and he went and got the sandwiches. He met me in the hotel lobby, and we just sat. It was, this will sound, again, 50-year-old me, but we just sat in the lobby and we people watched in a really, because I think it was in a fucking, a DoubleTree or something. It was a nice lobby. And we just ate. We split 2 sandwiches and we drank bottles of fucking soda, and we looked at people and we talked and we had fun. Dude, I had a great time with him in Detroit. We ran, John's a really good guy. So he said he was going to be in town in LA, coming to town for a wedding with his girlfriend. And, we got together. He actually showed up at the barbecue house. I told him, you know, if he wanted to meet me there, he could, but he never told me he was coming. And then I walked in from a delivery. He was there. It was awesome. So we sat down. I bought him dinner. We had some barbecue. And then he was like, hey, man, can I, you know, why don't I come over to your place? I was like, well, do you want to hang out at the pool? I go, because I was kind of beat. I had worked a double all day. He's like, well, I kind of want to tour. He wanted the 40-year-old boy 10-cent tour. So I took him to the place where I tried to make a left-hand turn for 7 minutes. By year 2, we happened to drive on Highland, where I wound up beating up a car. And he knew that before I did. He goes, is this where you beat up the car? I go, absolutely, it's where I beat up the car. Jesus, I forgot to tell you that. I took him by Graveyardville. I went looking. I showed him all sorts of places. So we just drove, man, and we talked and we hung out and we had a good time. I wish I could have seen him more. He was in town for like 5 or 6 days, but I was working so much I couldn't see him. But so thanks to John and thanks to KC for coming to town and inviting me out and wanting to see me and listening to the show, continuing to listen. That's just important, and being involved. And the third listener who I met last week, he came to town. Well, he texted me a couple of weeks ago. It's a guy named Brian. And Brian Howard, I'll just say his full name. I don't know if the others wanted me to, but I'll say Brian Howard's name. And he was in a band, he still is in a band in Georgia, in Athens, called The Heap, Heap. And he gave me their CD, and it was fucking, I liked it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I would say it's funky blues, but it's more funky than blues. It's not real slow. Who do I want to say it's like? Christ, I don't want to, again, I don't want to insult him in the band and stuff like that, but it's kind of who the fuck, I don't even remember the name of that band now that like got famous. It's got a retro sound. It's got a throwback kind of a retro sound. But you'd like it. It's funky and it's good. Well, he texted me and he's like, "Hey, are you in town in March?" And I said, "Well, I'm kind of." He's like, "Is Jill going to be there?" And I said, "Well, I'm seeing her in April." And she's here. And he's, no, it's March 28th. And I go, no, I'm leaving a couple days after that. He goes, well, maybe you'd be interested in going. He goes, I'm the bass player in the band Cracker now. And we're touring, and we're going to be at the House of Blues in Los Angeles that night. If you want to come, I'll throw you on the list. And I was psyched. I mean, because you know what? Again, I don't do anything, man. I go home, I sit in a chair, I watch cupcake shows. So in my head, I'm like, go have fun. You know what I mean? Just go meet Brian and see him. Because Brian came to my Atlanta show, which was actually one of my favorite shows that I ever did out on the road. And so he was there that night, and we met, and he gave me the CD. And then I see him periodically in my Facebook feed promoting the band. Well, I didn't know he was in Cracker, which, if you may know Cracker, that's David Lowry he was in Camper Van Beethoven, and then he's in Cracker, and he's another one who's like a Renaissance man like Dave. He's like getting his PhD. He teaches at the University of, I think, Georgia, and he's just a musician but still killing it and doing it on the road. They're touring, they're doing Europe. And so Brian said, you want to come out to the show? I said, sure. So I made arrangements to be off work, and he told me, he's like, hey man, the show's at 10:15. That's when we go on stage. And again, 50-year-old me took over, where I'm just like, because I used to work at the House of Blues, and I know what it's like. So I figured I could just pull up and valet my car and go in, right around when they're about to start. So I said, I'll do that. Because I don't need to see an opening band. I don't need to see anybody who's going to be on. I'm there to see Brian and the band Cracker, and that's it. And by the way, Brian is just like this. He's got dreads down his back, like completely all the way down his back. And when he texted me about Cracker, he goes, this is the first band I've ever been in where I can't wear the t-shirt. That made me laugh. So I got in the car. I fought myself the whole time. I did. I was like, I don't know if I'm going. Should I go? 50-year-old me is just such an enemy. He so wants me to not do a fucking thing. We have to excise him, man, and get rid of him. But I fought him, and I jumped in the shower, and I got in the car, and I rolled down there to get there right at 10:15. Well, you know, I forgot fucking Hollywood is young Hollywood is out on a Saturday night, and it reminded me why I don't want to go out. First, I went to the House of Blues to Valet Park, and there was a clusterfuck at the thing, and the guy's like, you got to go to the top of the hill and try to park. And I said, no, dude, I just want a valet. He goes, yeah, valet starts at the top of the hill. I go, there's nobody in line. He goes, well, I don't know what to tell you. I go, are you the valet guy? He goes, yeah. And I go, well, then I just need my car parked. He goes, well, go to the top of the hill. And I'm like, fuck you. How much is it? $20. I'm leaving. So I drove away. And then I drove around Hollywood looking for a goddamn parking spot. Finally caught one outside of the fucking Trocadero. So I grabbed that and I walked down, and now I'm late. So I'm going to miss some of the band, and I'm pissed off about it. I get down in front of the House of Blues, and the valet guys have even gone now. The tables are gone. There were tables blocking the driveway. All this stuff was set up, and I didn't know what was going on. But I knew it was weird. I will tell you that, because when I used to bounce there, concerts were concerts, and you showed up and they were playing, and you just parked your car and fucking they valeted it, and it was fine. When they block off the driveway, it usually means that an outside promoter has paid to use the venue. And sure enough, I walked up, and I was like, hey, I'm on the guest list for Cracker. They go, oh, man, the guest list has been put away. I said, all right, well, I mean, who do I see? Are they in the box office? And he goes, yeah, I think so. So I went to the box office, and I said, hey, is there a list for Cracker? And she goes, oh, they didn't give us a list. They just packed up and left. I go, well, I don't understand. Why would you pack up and leave? It's only 10:30. And she goes, well, that's just the way they worked it. And I understand when a band starts, the guest list usually shuts down, so whatever. So I turn around and a bouncer's there, and he goes, well, are you going to the show? I go, well, I'm on the list. I'm supposed to get a pass. And he goes, well, here. And he gives me a wristband. I go, what are you doing? He goes, well, yeah, just go in. It's fine. And I said, all right. I walked over to the door, and nobody was playing on stage. And I turned around and I looked at a couple of bouncers, and I go, what's going on? I thought the show started at 10:15. He goes, oh, they're running late. I go, well, what time does Cracker go on? He goes, any minute. Should be like 10:45. I said, oh, okay. I walked in to the club, the doors closed behind me, and the screen started to raise. And Cracker was on stage. And I looked around, and I guess it was a benefit, and they had asked Cracker to come in and play. It was some benefit for, I don't even know, Save the Penguins or some bullshit. I don't know, Save the Crackers. I think they were saving the Crackers. It was an anti-soup campaign. But they came out and they shredded it up, you know what I mean? And they played low, and they played, they're more of a alt country band now than they are a rockin' band. I mean, in the 90s, their stuff was more rockin', but they've got a country spin and everything now. And I'll say this. I walked into the venue, and it was a very light crowd. That's one of the reasons they let me in for free, and that's why I knew it was a light crowd, because when I was bouncing, they would do anything to get people in the door to maybe buy a couple of beers. So I walked in, and I looked around, and it was dead. And I did a head count, and I was like, whoa, man. And I sat down as the band was playing, and I fucking loved the show, and so did everybody there. They were singing, they were dancing, they knew all the words, because Cracker and Camper Van Beethoven still have a fan base, and they were there to see their guy. And I will say this, I just talked about Van Halen shutting down Hollywood Boulevard for 10,000 people and Dave holding a crowd in the palm of his hand. Well, I saw the same thing at the House of Blues on Saturday night. Whether it was 10,000 people on Hollywood Boulevard or 72 people in the House of Blues, I saw a guy named Dave hold a crowd in the palm of his hand. Lowry crushed it. My friend Brian was tearing it up on bass. There was a steel pedal guitar. There was all sorts of cool stuff. And everybody knew all the words, even to the new songs. And I think that's the lasting mark of any musician. Your new stuff's being accepted and respected and basically enjoyed. And so I had a great time, man. They were really good, and they didn't give a fuck how many people were there. They played as if there were 10,000 people in the venue or 10,000 people on Hollywood Boulevard, and they hit the back of the fucking wall venue, and they crushed it, and it was great. And afterwards, Brian came off stage, and I got to see him. We talked, we hung out. He introduced me to Dave Lowry, who was a gentleman. I only talked to him for fucking 30 seconds, but all the other band members were cool. We went to a bar, we got some drinks, and we hung out and joked and laughed and talked, and it was funny to hear about their tour. Van Halen's rehearsing in Hollywood. Well, these guys, some of them were, Dave was in a hotel and a couple other people were in a hotel, but some of the members of the band were doing Airbnb and staying at somebody's house. I'm like, so somebody has Cracker staying at their house? And they go, well, they have the rhythm section staying at their fucking house. And so Brian said, all right. But we just had the best time because Brian was smart and funny and interesting. And again, man, that guy makes his living playing music. They might be going to Europe for the tour. They're playing some 90s package deal stuff. And it was great to see him and really cool that he would invite me out. I loved it. I mean, and so you guys are just so great to me. You invite me to take time to go and see you, and I'm lucky when I can. And thank you so much. Thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for inviting me. And everybody always invites Lily too, and unfortunately she has shows or she can't do it. But man, check out The Heap if you can. That's Brian's band, and they were really good. And then check out Old Cracker if you want. Check out Van Halen, and check out everybody. You know what? I'm in a good mood. Check out everyone you could possibly check out. Go ahead and find them and check them all out. Check out this podcast. Check out every podcast. Check out everybody. Check out Graham and Chris and see if I'll be at Podfest. Check out everybody you possibly can. Check this out. Hey, you know what? Check this out.
This show is not surgical at all. You know what it is? Actually, it's surgery. This show is surgery performed with a helicopter. That's what it is. It's like there's no delicate knife strokes and there's no intricate cuts. It is just a fucking guy getting tossed into a propeller and there's blood and guts and viscera all over the goddamn place. But eventually, we'll get his liver out. It's gonna happen. Look, you can't solve everything in 2.5 hours in a stripper's kitchen, folks. That's clean and sharp.